streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. Sports leader 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey, a very good afternoon to you, and welcome on into the Sports Bar, Rochester's only local sports talk show. We're glad you're with us and listening along in the free-to-download Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, of course, 95.7 FM, AM 950, even our YouTube channel where you can watch the Sports Bar every afternoon from 3 until 6 as we stream live. I'm Danger, and that is Battaglia.
Dude, that was some real talent vibes there. The clock running down 3 seconds.
Oh, you want to give everybody a peek behind the curtain of what happened here just a few moments ago.
I thought it was going to be Dandalorian, and I was in the show today.
Every now and then, I think I've got a pretty good attendance record in the Sports Bar. If I say I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be here on time. I'm not going to miss. There was one time I remember getting stuck in a traffic jam on the thruway because of an accident coming back from Buffalo for a meeting, and that was hair-raising. I didn't like that. I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like letting you down more than anything. I don't want to let anybody down. That's my biggest thing. My biggest fear is, like, I never want to let people down. And so I think 3 seconds, that might be the new record. I think I came in here with 3 seconds left before the top of the hour, plugged in my headphones, and here we are, ready for another afternoon of fantastic sports talk in the Flower City.
Just so folks know, it's not like Danger parked his car and walked through the door 3 seconds in. You were upstairs in some other. I gotta go. Did
you notice anything different about how I came into the studio today?
You don't have a hat on.
Well, that's an appearance thing, but I'm not carrying my bag. Usually I come down and I've got all my gear and everything from my office stashed away and ready to go so that when 6 o'clock hits, I can just grab my stuff. I don't have to go back up to my office. I can just walk out the door. No, all my stuff's up there. I didn't have the internal clock in my head told me, you don't have time to pack it up. Leave it. Come back for it later. And that's exactly what I plan to do. Great show lined up for you this afternoon, including one of our local favorites joining us here in the 4 o'clock hour. Can't wait to catch up with Adam Terry, former Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, so Adam, if you're not familiar with Adam Terry, we've had him on a bunch of times, but he's part of the Ravens under Harbaugh and played with Ray Lewis, was a teammate, offensive lineman, second-round pick out of Syracuse, originally from the Albany area. Meets the Rochester girl, or she is working. Regardless, he makes Rochester his home now. He's now a successful businessman. In fact, his son plays for McQuaid.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's planted roots here.
Chip off the old block, too, by the way.
Yeah, and so now there's an event coming up connected to the fastest-growing sport in high school sports today, and that would be flag football, girls flag football, that Adam is going to talk a little bit about. And we can also pick his brain here. Like, if you're an NFL player, are you savoring this, or for him was it, oh no, these days are going to go by too quick and I'm going to have to be dealing with the heat and whatever during training camp.
Right. Are you viewing the next few weeks with dread? You get a case of the Sunday scaries knowing that you've got training camp on the horizon. Or are you savoring every single moment that you have, knowing that this is your off season, and really all you have to worry about in the off season, I would imagine, is stay in shape. Don't come to camp like Kelvin Benjamin did that one year, where the coach basically said, he's a biscuit shy of what. You want to come in. You want everybody saying best shape of your life. Oh, it's best shape of your life season.
Speaking of that, take a little detour. Have you seen the pictures coming out of Kansas City?
I have not. Who are we talking about specifically?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh.
And there's just, people are pointing out, family photos, over the 4th of July. Okay, shirtless, which, okay.
A little too much ketchup on the steak?
Well, yeah, it's not a full-on dad bod, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah. Granted, I should not be the one to talk.
It happens to all of us.
I'm not an NFL quarterback.
It happens to all of us. But even NFL quarterbacks. Think think about the transformation of some of the guys that we've grown up watching, and even guys like Elway, as he got older, he got a little bit bigger. I think Manning did a pretty good job of taking care of him. Brady is the GOAT for a reason. I mean, he played into his 40s, obviously, and he was in great shape. He was in better shape in his 40s than he was when he came into the league, right? I think we all recognize that when you look at the infamous combine photo of him in his underwear, and you look at him, you're like, he's kind of doughy. He's just a guy. And the guy just sculpted himself into, a 40-plus-year-old guy who was able to still play at a very high level. Roethlisberger, I think, is the one that when I think of Roethlisberger, I think of the young kid that came into the league, who was a big kid, very similar to what Josh Allen is, right? But then later in his career, it's like, Jesus, Ben, are you going to play quarterback, or are you lining up at guard? What are you doing? He's massive.
I picture Ben just sitting on his couch, using his belly as kind of like the tray for the bowl of ice cream. He's the guy from the movie Dodgeball at the end. He's whatever, White, the guy's name, where he just loses himself, and at the end he's eating ice cream and chicken out of a bucket because it's over. Mahomes, until we see Mahomes falter, I'm not going to speak ill of Mahomes. No, not going down that road. Not going to take that bait, Danger.
I can't do it. I mean, if he shows up and he looks out of shape, I need to see it on the field. I need to see on the field him falter for me to be like, okay, Mahomes has lost a step, or Mahomes is out of shape, or Mahomes isn't as focused as he was early in his career.
That being said, like the law averages would tell you that the Chiefs sooner or later are going to have to – they are not the New England Patriots. I'm sorry. In this improved division, like they're not going to like go 4-2, dare I say 3-3 in the AFC West.
They're not the New England Patriots yet, but their trajectory is very Patriot-esque.
Their defense today is better than it was their first Super Bowl win. So can they pick themselves up after getting dusted in the Super Bowl? We started on this, by the way, by talking about Adam Terry and do you stay in shape and everything else. And but sometimes we just go off the road here.
But, we'll put a bow on it here with a little tease for Friday, because Gino is going on the road to Kansas City on Friday. He'll be live in Kansas City at our Odyssey Sports sister station at the 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, doing the sports bar from Kansas City. I'll be here, and we'll have Binkley on with us. So I think Friday we'll have a lot of answers to these questions that we might have about the Chiefs. Binkley has kind of become public enemy number one in the sports bar, and
I'm going right into his den though, right into his studio. We're going to be fine. We love Buffalo.
Still Kansas City, and all of that is fine and good. But I also think he's real enough to know or to say to us when there is a flaw or a fault. I mean, he's very good at projecting what the Chiefs are and where there might be some hurdles, some roadblocks. And again, until I see Mahomes falter, I'm not going to speak ill of Mahomes.
Okay, fair enough. Like, what would be the Bills' fault? I have one thing in my mind. I want to see if we're right. Do you want me to go here?
What do you mean?
What are the Chiefs' fault? Okay, you could say the offensive line, or do you really trust their wide receivers, or there's any number of reasons. Mahomes, dad bod, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What would be the thing that you would say? I'm not sure about this in Buffalo.
I have my answer locked in. Do you have yours?
Yes. Do you want to go first?
You want to do it simultaneously?
All right.
3, 2, 1. Sean McDermott.
Line. Oh, all right.
Well, they're kind of married together. Well,
if you look back at the AFC Championship game, that Spagnuolo with the perfect call, the perfect time, knowing that if you're going to overload a blitz to the right side, that, my gosh, he's not going to look left. What do we do that here with Mahomes? I mean, Lou Anarumo had a good plan, but what will it take for Sean McDermott? I'm saying defensive line danger because seemingly the Chiefs always have a guy that makes the play at the perfect time.
Yep.
And granted, we've had that in Buffalo. Terrell Bernard, in the Ravens game.
You've had Josh Allen hasn't lost you games. I don't think the offensive line has lost you games. I don't against the Chiefs specifically.
Right.
The defense having their worst game of the season in the championship game, giving up 30 points to a team that hadn't scored 30 all season. That I put on the defense and the defensive-minded head coach. You got to get over on Andy Reid. You got to get over on the guy who you always looked up to, the guy that you got his coffee for and did his dry cleaning for when you got into the league. You got to get past that if you're Sean McDermott. And much like Mahomes, I'll wait to see when he falters. When McDermott can do that in a game that matters, the playoffs, then the criticism will cease. But I need to see it, and I haven't seen it yet. And with Mahomes, he could show up out of shape. He could show up looking like, looking like a dad with the dad bod. Until I see him on the field falter, I can't speak ill of the guy. But I can speak ill of a guy who can't get over on Andy Reid, and that's been Sean McDermott in games that matter the most. That's my right. And defensive line, yeah, that's it. The pass rush is an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get after the quarterback. You got to close. And when you need them to the most, they've just come up short. So Friday's going to be fun. I can't wait for that.
Friday is going to, I selfishly, I'm going to not one, but two Met games.
How are we feeling about that?
Like Senga's going to be back
He's
on
back.
Friday. Yeah, so they're penciling him in on Friday.
Oh, look
so,
at you.
Yeah.
You and I have both seen Senga start games for the Mets this season.
Yeah, and the Mets.
The official Mets pitcher of the sports bar, Kodai Senga.
Mets lost when you graced them. So
they did.
Oh my gosh, I don't even think about the torture of like I'm in Kansas City, I'm with Binkley, he's gonna be like, well, sorry about your Mets tonight. And,
it's one game.
Oh, it's just they're you know what they're doing also. You know what was 10 years ago? That was the 2015 World Series, Mets Royals.
Yep.
And of course, we've got to have the reunion of that team and celebrate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Fantastic.
Right. Well, you're going to have a great weekend. Friday is going to be a great kickoff to that weekend. Gene will be live in Kansas City, and we'll talk plenty of Bills Chiefs coming up on Friday's episode of the Sports Bar. Also joining us this afternoon in the Sports Bar in about 10, 15 minutes or so, our buddy Jeff Erickson. He's the senior editor over at RotoWire. We're going to talk a little fantasy football.
Yeah, we're going, like, this is the time of year, Danger. You want to, like, dive into the pool or just kind of wait. Like, diving into the pool fantasy-wise, I would think, like, you're pulling all-nighters, you're doing all that. No, we're just kind of wading in, just level by level. Okay? You haven't cracked the book, that's okay. Maybe you haven't done any mock drafts. We're doing that in our house. By the way, Danger, it's great to have, like, a son now who's
mock draft season.
Oh, yeah, mock draft season. Mock draft season's here.
I'm shopping around, and I know RotoWire offers some great services, so we'll have Jeff on. And we'll discuss some of what RotoWire has to offer in your pre-draft prep process, which is what I'm struggling with right now. Like I need to I want to attach my wagon to a service that gives me everything I'm looking for as far as customization and tiers and rankings and all in one place. So we'll get into that with Jeff Erickson as we are entering draft season for fantasy football. I wanted to talk also with Jeff, and we'll bring it up now. I mean, why not? Since we're talking fantasy football, you want tiers, right? We always talk about tiers, different positional tiers. I saw something cross my feed today. Fantasy football quarterbacks ranked by tiers. 4 of them in the supreme tier. The top 4 fantasy football.
Now, this is there's always tell me about your scoring system for the league, and because where do you put Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts with the tush push, that stat that he has the most 1-yard touchdown runs. I mean, okay, that like if you're getting the full 6 points, like tell me about the scoring. Well, so that aside, standard scoring system, who would be the 4? Well, I'm taking Mahomes out of their Danger. I would put. Patrick Mahomes, he's still a good quarterback, but fantasy-wise, he doesn't need to light it up. You're putting Allen. You're putting Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow was fantastic, and I don't see that offense slowing down. And I would put Jalen Hurts. Maybe you could make an argument for Jaden Daniels. Who did they put in as the 4th Danger?
All right, here. So I'll fully disclose what this is. This is Warren Sharp's fantasy football quarterback tiers.
Okay.
And when he posted it, he didn't disclose that it was fantasy football. So a lot of NFL insiders saw it and got really, really pissed off. Like, what are you doing putting these guys where, like they didn't realize, what his deal is. Like, this is for fantasy purposes. And if you're talking about quarterback tiers, the top 4 in the supreme tier, Josh Allen, according to Warren Sharp, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels. The tier below them, the A-plus tier, would be your Patrick Mahomes and your Joe Burrow. If you have one of those 6 guys, I think you're doing pretty good for your QB1. If you're talking about a Superflex league and you land one of those 6 guys, you're feeling pretty good about your QB1.
I wonder part of the Burrow equation is like they just perpetually just like, oh, yeah, offensive line. Okay, who wants to do it this year? Like in 2 years ago, it cost him. So durability is also part of that. Doesn't hurt to draft a quarterback who's hurt.
He was fantastic. Even better when Higgins was healthy last season. When Higgins and Chase were both out there, Burrow was next level. And then you have to wonder, like, okay, are they going to miss time? Who's going to miss time? You imagine that somebody's going to miss time.
I think it's curious, though, and maybe we'll get Jeff Erickson's thoughts on this. Like Jaden Daniels, year 2. Like every year we think that, oh, you were so good, rookie, for year 1, you're going to take a step forward. Like nobody's factoring in that. Yeah, there's also guys who regress. I'm just putting it out there, Danger. That's a little risky for me.
Oh. God, do you see the offseason has been going on for so long, I forget things. Like I saw something cross my feed and I thought, wait a minute, where is he now? Oh, Deebo Samuel is in Washington now. Oh my God, in that offense. Oh my God, like there's I think a lot to be enthusiastic about if you're a Commanders fan. I don't have a problem with Daniels up there. I like the upside. Of course, what he does with his legs is remarkable as well. So you put him in that category of Lamar Jackson. Of course, you have Jalen Hurts with the ability to score from short distance with the tush push, and Josh Allen for just being Josh Allen. And then you've got 5 guys in the A tier, and this is where it got controversial because one of these guys you saw, and you're like, there's no way he should be considered an A anything. He's not won a thing. He's never had a winning season, and now he's on his 3rd team. The A tier would be Dak, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Mac Jones, and Justin Fields. Mac Jones and Justin Fields.
Wait. Where is Mac Jones these days? I don't even know. You talking Daniel Jones?
No, Mac.
Not
Jones.
Mac.
I'm sorry. I'm mixing up my Patriot quarterbacks. Not Mac Jones. Drake May. Sorry.
I think Mac Jones.
But honestly, just to take one out and put it in the next, is there really a difference? No, Drake May. I'm sorry. My bad. I saw the Patriot, and I forgot Drake May, and I imagine Drake May is in that tier because, again, here's a guy who can run the football, who's got a little bit of upside with his legs as well as what he can do with his arm, and adding Steph Diggs doesn't hurt either. So Justin Fields, Drake May being in that A tier are the only 2 I'm like,
look, I would put Geno Smith right there. Like, if you're at that point.
Where do you think Geno Smith is? Put a grade on Geno Smith. What tier do you think Geno Smith is in?
Well, I would put him right behind there. Just because I would think that, not based on Geno Smith, the quarterback, based on, hey, it's the Raiders and you've got little parts around you and you're going to be playing catch-up a lot.
I might as well just go ahead and tell you the 3 quarterbacks that are in his D tier.
Wow, he's a D.
Yeah. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers.
This is Sharp just being a takesman.
I appreciate
honestly,
it. I appreciate it, but I mean, it's also backed by a lot of data.
Well, probably the data is Danger that you go to a new place and are you really going to replicate the numbers where you just came from? Like, is anybody expecting Sam Darnold to lead Seattle to all these wins this year?
Yeah. No. But are you expecting J.J. McCarthy? Because he's got J.J. McCarthy in the C tier ahead of Sam Darnold. And I think if you expect J.J. McCarthy to get you 14 wins the way Sam Darnold did last year in Minnesota, no. I'd see regression for the Vikings. And then I just look at the B tier, which is, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys, 10 quarterbacks in the B tier who you could argue should go up a tier or down a tier. My eye test tells me that Baker Mayfield doesn't belong in the A tier, but his numbers last year were fantastic for fantasy purposes. Jared Goff did all right for fantasy purposes. Maybe he's an A over a guy like Justin Fields, but then you have, I think with May and with Fields, again, I think it's, and with Kyler Murray for that matter, it's the upside of what they can do with their legs, what they can do running the football. So I just thought that was an interesting little graphic there to kind of stir the fantasy football juices, knowing that we were going to talk to Jeff Erickson, kind of get his take on where he has his quarterbacks tiered, the elite tier versus everybody else, and who you can feel good about as we get ready to prepare for our season-long drafts.
Aaron Boone listens to the Sports Bar. The Yankees announcing the move that Jazz Chisholm is going back to second base here.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of days. I think the roars have gotten so loud that you can't ignore it. Like, why were you trying him out at second base earlier in the, were you not preparing for him to play that position?
That's what he came up as, but then you traded for him and you had a second baseman last year. Okay, we're going to plop him at third, and almost like you forgot about that.
Yeah. Good. Let's see what that does.
By the way, go get a real third baseman. Eugenio Suarez, Arizona. Look up his stats. Fantastic.
Everybody wants a third baseman. Everybody wants a third baseman. Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate that. I was queued up and ready. I thought you were going to give me a stat that had the number 9 in it or something.
9 times.
But no. That's good. Jazz Chisholm moving to second. Let's get to.
Oh, but the Blue Jays, by the way.
Another win.
How many is that?
9 times.
Does it count if you beat the White Sox, though? You realize they have the White Sox and then they have the A's? They could go in the All-Star break still on this winning streak.
May never lose another game. The Blue Jays may never lose another game.
We should invite Riley on. He'll be.
He's got to be excited as a Jays guy. Jeff Erickson is the senior editor at Roto Wire. We're going to talk to him next. Talk some more fantasy football. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
You're listening to the update.
Rochester Red Wings beginning a series tonight at home against Worcester. All the games in the majors under the lights tonight, including the Yankees home against Seattle. Manager Aaron Boone on the state of the Pinstripes.
I'm totally confident we'll get to where we need to be by the end. We just got to obviously start playing better and more consistently in all phases. We're going through it right now, is important in developing character of your team. You got to go through these things and you got to meet the moment sometimes.
Jazz Chisholm moving back to second base for New York. The Mets tonight begin a series in Baltimore. The NHL and NHLPA have ratified their new labor agreement, highlighted by the season going from 82 to 84 games. This will run through the year 2030. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Yeah, we broke the seal. 4th of July, it's that kind of psychological wall that comes down and you're allowing yourself to, we're always thinking about football, but now you're really thinking like fantasy football, season-long drafts. What's it all looking like? What position am I going to be drafting? So we are going to talk plenty of fantasy football here, especially as we prepare for training camps. And one of our favorites to talk fantasy football with is the senior editor for RotoWire. That's Jeff Erickson, who joins us now. Jeff, how has your offseason been? Has there been an offseason for you there at RotoWire?
I think there was a little time in February and March where it's slightly off, but yeah, it's great. I mean, it is really a 365 endeavor now, and that's awesome. I mean, hey, it puts Super Bowl. I mean, we submitted a set of best ball rankings even before the Super Bowl was over, I think, to one of our clients. So we're all in. It's great because it's always something to talk about. The NFL is the master of controlling the media schedule. There's always some sort of event that's on our mind. I mean, this is like the little lull before the training camp storm, but even now, like last.
You know what, we're going to try Jeff here. I'm going to try calling him back here.
Okay.
So we get a better connection here.
Yeah, we'll get Jeff Erickson from RotoWire back on with us here and hopefully on a stable line. We want to talk to him a little bit about some of his quarterback tiers, what he likes about this upcoming season for season-long drafts. You might be thinking about what position you could be drafting as well. Running backs, certainly intriguing. Ashton Genty now in the mix there as a Vegas Raider, and what the rookie might be able to do and how high he's been going, whether or not you're willing to pay that kind of value. Just some of the things that we're going to look into to dive into here with Jeff Erickson of RotoWire, who I believe Gino got back on the blower, and hopefully we have a stable connection here with Jeff. Jeff, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully we have a stable connection. Let's just get right into it, man. We were talking before we had you on about tiers. We always want to, put our players into tiers as we're getting ready to set our draft boards and draft for our season-long leagues. And wanted to start at quarterback because I feel like there may be 4, maybe 5 guys that you would put, or maybe as many as 6 guys that you would put into an elite tier of quarterbacks that you would feel good about if you had them as your quarterback one in a regular or a standard or a super flex league.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of it depends on scoring system. If you get 4 or more points for a passing touchdown, then I think there are 5 in your tier. I think if it's a 3 points and maybe some restrictions on the passing yards, then it might be as little as 4 for your top tier. Burrow is the guy there that kind of fluctuates in that equation there. Like in the NFFC, it's 6 points for a passing touchdown, and it's a point for every 20 passing yards, so clear top 5 there. I wouldn't expand it to 6. I don't think Mahomes or Mayfield or Knicks really go into that next tier for me. But Lamar, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, all the good running quarterbacks that also throw well is also they're all in that top tier.
As far as which offenses, like if we're just going to look at it that way, like are we thinking, well, we know the Bills here, but are going to be a good offense, but are they a good fantasy offense, meaning I don't know who's going to get the targets here, Jeff. Maybe, and we're close to the team here, but teams like Tampa Bay, which offenses would you want a piece of heading into a draft?
So yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Sometimes you're looking for that narrow tree, And one thing, Cincinnati, and I obviously, take that with the appropriate grain of salt because I am a little closer towards the Bengals. But you want to talk about a narrow tree. It's Chase, it's Higgins, it's Chase Brown. Maybe you want to throw in Gesicki, but those are your viable fantasy players on the team, and they get the appropriate target share that goes with it there. Whereas the Bills, the Ravens, they spread it around a lot more. It's interesting that you'll look at the supporting parts to those two teams, and their players go later than other positions. So you look at, for instance, the Bills and their targets. I mean, it's funny that the earliest pass catcher that goes for the Bills is Shakir, and he goes around pick 80 overall. And I'm on Shakir. I have him in a lot of formats already. I've done about 9 or 10 drafts, a few more if you want to include best ball. But, it's just there's Coleman, there's Palmer, Elijah Moore still will be involved. The tight ends will be involved. Even the tight ends. I mean, Dalton Kincaid doesn't even get all of the tight end targets for that team. So it makes it harder to try to kind of predict exactly what's going to happen with that offense. Obviously, you want pieces. You want Josh Allen. You probably want James Cook. I think there's some debate there about the touchdowns repeating. Obviously, the contract situation, I think that gets resolved, but that kind of hovers as well. It is interesting. Such a good offense that the skill position players, other than Allen and Cook, go pretty late.
Jeff, new faces in new places, and week one is going to be intriguing. Mainly, you got a matchup here between the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields and his former team now with the New York Jets. So let's talk about Rodgers' projection for this year with Pittsburgh and Fields, who now we get to see him in command of this new offense. It's his third team, but we know what he can do with his legs. We know what he's capable of for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, for sure. And the funny thing about Rodgers is he frequently goes undrafted. I'm looking at the thing is, was he a top 15, top 20 quarterback the last 2 years? No, he obviously got hurt in the first game with the Jets 2 years ago. But last year he really struggled early on. Late in the season he picked it up a little bit there. But it's not like an Arthur Smith offense is one that we can't, we're jumping over each other to try to get pieces of. Fields at least runs. Rodgers famously won't even do a quarterback sneak, so you don't get any rushing touchdowns out of Rodgers unless it's like the Red Sea's parting for him there. Steelers also overhauled their offense. They traded away George Pickens, traded for DK Metcalf, traded for Johnny Smith. We're trying to figure that Pittsburgh offense out, but shouldn't be a high-volume passing team, certainly not a whole lot of huge downfield throws. Maybe now that they have a quarterback they trust a little bit more, maybe they open it up a little bit, but look at the receiver room for the Steelers. After Metcalf, it's pretty ugly. Unless you want to get Calvin Austin, or maybe you want to invest in Roman Wilson after his basically a redshirt year as a rookie in the NFL. I don't see too many dynamic pass catchers in that Steelers offense.
Jeff Erickson is the senior editor for RotoWire joining us. A question about taking a leap of faith. It's a little unnerving that what the Vikings did there from a fantasy perspective, because last year you had Sam Darnold, and it was a very nice offense, and Sam Darnold got cheap, and now you got McCarthy, who gets hurt early, and he looked really good again in a preseason game against the Raiders, I remember. But how would you go about projecting what this Vikings offense would look like with essentially a rookie quarterback here, Jeff?
Yeah, and the thing is, they made Sam Darnold look great last year, got him paid, basically, because he stepped into perhaps one of the best supporting casts out there, not just in terms of the skill position players, which are obviously awesome, and Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, but also good offensive line. And most importantly, a head coach and play caller in Kevin O'Connell, who's fabulous, just really good quarterback whisperer. So you would think that McCarthy steps into a similar situation, a first-round pick, one they traded up to get. They expect decent things out of him. I think he's a high-variance quarterback. You're not going to have to spend a pick that's certainly enough to be your first QB. but I like him as a QB2 on my teams. If you're playing a super flex league, it's interesting because I think there's he could be a big win, but there's also a pretty low floor for him. Super flex leagues, I like to kind of have stability because you're rolling with those two quarterbacks every single week, and if something goes wrong, both in terms of performance and whether McCarthy can hold up. Remember he had setbacks in his rehab last year. Health isn't a given with him.
Jeff, when we're looking for value at some of the other skill positions, Ashton Genty has entered the chat, and I'm wondering how high is too high for the rookie, and where you're seeing value in terms of running back, because there's always a lot of new names that are on your draft board, and there's a lot of situations where it's running back by committee, and you're trying to suss all that out here during the preseason and what we're seeing as far as who's getting first team reps. Talk about value at the running back position and start specifically with Genty and where he's going in mock drafts.
Sorry, so I've seen Genty go as high as third overall in a draft so far. Great resources. I play in the NFFC, and we're business partners with them. So just know my bias, but I think their ADP tool is fantastic. You can sort by type of the draft, by dates of draft. But he went third, and this is good sized money people are paying. It's not even a mock. This is a real draft. They're living with this decision. So that means he's going ahead in that particular case of the big three of Robinson, Gibbs, and Barkley. I personally would not do that. But is he RB4? Yeah, I could see it. I'm skeptical of McCaffrey. I'm skeptical of the Niners telling us the truth about McCaffrey, so I'm always worried about that. Just he's closer to that age where the performance tends to drop. I maybe would consider taking Henry over Genty in some cases, but the volume is going to be so high, guys. Genty is going to get so much usage, both running the ball and catching the ball. He's a good pass catcher too. I think that he's going to be a guy that is very much first-round worthy. You see this with running backs all the time, that they can step in right away. It's a great running back class. A lot of good rookies coming in. I like Omarion Hampton out with the Chargers. I think I really like Judkins with the Browns. It's a bad offense. Don't get me wrong on that, but I think he's going to get a pretty heavy workload as well. I think he will be their RB1 over James Ford.
As far as a team that you brought up there with Robinson, that's a new look with Michael Penix, and so many of us were screaming, "Why are they still playing Kirk Cousins?" At some point last year, it's a Falcon offense that is disappointed over the years, but again, it's a new quarterback, it's a new OC. So, what are your thoughts there about Penix and how that offense will look from a fantasy standpoint?
So it looked pretty good, albeit in a game sample. That crazy Sunday night game where it was kind of the most insane coaching decision you'll ever see, but still fun games that we saw. I really like the volume that Drake London got with Penix, so that's someone I'm really, really interested in.
Mike, we're in fantasy draft prep season for a lot of us that are drafting this summer in season-long leagues. And if you're like me, I know you're not like me, but listeners like me, I'm shopping around. I want to get a tool that helps me be as prepared as possible for all of my upcoming drafts, something that's customizable, something that gives me all the information and data that I'm looking for all in one spot, all in one neat package. This is a long way of me asking you to tell us about what y'all are offering there at RotoWire.
So we have our draft app and our draft tool are out right now, and we did a big redesign on the site as well, including new tools on that draft app. You guys can check it out. Roto15 is a discount code. You get 15% off any RotoWire product. We're really psyched about the new layout. It's more than just a fresh coat of paint, but it is a new logo, new colors, everything. So we're excited about that. We've got all sorts of job battle articles, draft position battle articles. You were talking tiers earlier. Jim Coventry and Mario Puig are doing a series of articles on that. I think are fantastic. Invite you guys to check that all out.
Jeff, I got to sneak in one baseball question, put it in your wheelhouse. What are the Reds doing? Are they buying? Are they standing pat? Are they coming or going? Team that's only 3.5 out of the wild card here.
Yeah, they're fun, and they're going to disappoint us at the trade deadline is my prediction, because that's pretty much that's almost Vegas off the board in terms of that there. I would like to see them add more offense. I think they've got unusually good pitching and deep pitching right now. Maybe a bullpen arm. Everybody needs a bullpen arm. On the guy I really want to see, and it's not necessarily for the Reds, but I'd love it to be the Reds. But the guy I'd like to see maybe go at the trade deadline is Byron Buxton. Unusually healthy this year and productive at the same time. You usually get one or the other, and he's been awesome this year. The Twins are going nowhere. They're selling the owner is selling the team. I would love to see Buxton get traded to a contender.
Jeff, it's great having you on, man. Let's do it again before we get to the real thing. And we're going to be entering drinking water from a fire hose season here during training camp soon enough, buddy. Looking forward to it.
Can't wait. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you having me.
You got
Thanks,
it.
Jeff.
This is Jeff Erickson. He's the senior editor over at RotoWire, talking some fantasy football. I'm going to squeeze in a little fantasy baseball there as well.
I had to just get that. He loved, if you follow him.
The Cincinnati guy.
Yeah, Cincinnati guy, Bengals and Reds. And I feel bad for any Reds fan because, you have the pieces. It costs money to go make a trade. What are you doing?
Right. And your owner is basically like, yeah, you got to deal with this. Where are you going to go?
Why should that fan maintain trust in you?
Well, where are you going to go? Let's start there. I mean, sell the team to who? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, you want to have this debate. If you want to look at what would you do with this team to have it be more profitable, make more money, compete more in the current economic system that this game exists, it would be to pick it up and move it somewhere else. Yeah. And so be careful what you ask for. I think we're doing the best we can do with the resources that we have.
Businessman. Wow. He's not a businessman.
No.
He's a businessman.
The poor interviewer is so thrown off by that. He goes to the fake laugh like,
you can't be serious.
Yeah, like we're going
no, we're serious. Yeah. We're about making money. Yeah, we thank you fans for showing up and plunking down your hard-earned. If more of you don't do it, we can go somewhere else. If you're not happy, go somewhere else.
I have a trivia question. We have Adam Terry coming up for you.
Okay.
It's a little along the fantasy lines here.
All right.
Okay. Think about this, okay? This quarterback, okay, starter today, led the NFL in passer rating in 2022. Led the NFL in passing yards in 2023. Yet he's on no tier there, you mentioned. Yet it's not anybody we're even considering. Is it somebody we're overlooking?
Give me the stats again.
2022, top in the NFL, top quarterback, and it's amongst quarterbacks who actually play in terms of passer rating.
Okay.
Follows that up, becomes the leading passer in terms of yardage the following season.
In 23.
In 23. In 24, no, I can't say either in 24.
And I haven't mentioned him yet. We haven't talked about him once.
No.
And not even in passing. Mm-mm. So it wouldn't be Goff, it wouldn't be Mayfield, it wouldn't be any of these guys that I've brought up before. Is it, give me Matthew Stafford.
You know what? I've got that a year ahead. 21. Sorry, buddy. Buddy. So, no. 21 passer rating, 22 leading the league in yards.
All right, so 21 he led the league in passer rating in 2022. Passing is Dak.
No.
Not Dak?
Mm-mm.
Oh. I'm running out of names here. Yeah, it can't be Geno.
Well, it's a reason why this guy got paid and why this team built everything around him. And it didn't work. Hasn't worked. They haven't won a playoff game.
Jordan Love?
No.
Oh. Haven't won a playoff game. Built it around him. Oh, is it Justin Herbert?
No.
God,
no.
Whoa.
You forget this guy was good. You forget people were picking this team to win the division. Everybody was in love with Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, Tua. I didn't even consider that
right.
Tua could be
you
leader in anything.
You forget his resume and that, boy, that was really good for a hot minute, but then they faltered and he got hurt. And we look at him completely different. And we look at that as a team right now that why do they still have the same head coach? What? Well, because they paid Tua all that money and they're thinking that it's 2022 here.
The Dolphins. I mean, the jury, we know what Tua is, right? The league knows what he is. He's somebody that can't throw the ball more than 20 yards downfield. the entirety of that offense is designed around getting the ball out of his hands quick because you can't throw the ball downfield.
You don't have to really worry about him taking off now, do you? No.
He doesn't have an offensive line, so protection is going to – he has to get the ball out fast. It's why Waddle and Hill are so important because of their speed, but and HN out of the backfield. But once you figure out that this guy's not going to be a threat downfield, I think defenses have kind of figured out what Tua is. God forbid you ask him to throw 20 yards off. It's a pick. It's always a pick. He can't do it. He can't make those throws.
The league caught up to him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody sees the same film. Everybody sees the same film. And there are guys that make plays that you can't define. You watch and you're like, wow, how did that happen? Mahomes is one of those guys. Allen is one of those guys. Lamar certainly is one of those guys. Jaden Daniels has become one of those guys. Tua was on a trajectory there where the league still was trying to figure out now that they know what he is and what his deficiencies are, and you don't see him throwing the ball downfield because, frankly, he can't. I don't know. It kind of makes your offense one-dimensional. It's why a guy like Mitch Trubisky isn't a starter in the NFL. He only saw one half of the field. The other half of the field, forget it. He's not going there. So you put a defense at a great advantage knowing the limitations of the guy behind center. And Tua has some limitations.
It's not enough just to make an announcement about new uniforms or a throwback in this case, but we made an announcement in the NFL, a team did, about what date they're going to unveil their throwback.
I feel like we have not had enough hot uniform talk in the sports bar.
We're behind. I feel like usually we get this alteration.
Well, here's what my concern is. My concern is that there's just a constant deluge of uniforms being thrown at us, and now hot uniform talk is not that it could ever become wallpaper, but I think it's become wallpaper.
I think baseball has done this to us.
Yeah,
I blame baseball.
You see the All-Star unis, and I want to make a comment about the All-Star unis, but it's not hot nor cold. It's just not even hot uniform talk. It's just another day, another uniform to talk about.
Well, this team announced that coming up on the 15th of July, they will unveil their new throwback uniform. That would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, I'm also going to blame alternate helmets as well. I think alternate helmets have kind of neutralized everything. The Bucs and the Creamsicles, great throwback. I like the Bucs creamsicle throwbacks. I like the Seahawks, Kingdom era throwbacks that they wear from time to time.
You're saying, wait a second, the Buccaneers wore the creamsicles. Well, no. They've never worn the road version of
the
that.
all whites.
All whites with the creamsicle numbers. That's
clean.
What they're going to break out here.
It's clean. When does a team go all white? Like you want more all. I like the all white, just completely clean. The Bears used to go with the all white back in the day in the early 80s, mid 80s, and you just don't see all white as much anymore. Every now and then you'll see the all white. Yeah. Give me the all white.
When the Bills go all white, you like that?
I like it. Yeah. It's clean. It's a clean look. Always looks clean. I didn't like when the Vikings went all white, whatever they did, or when the Packers went all white. It's like, okay,
no,
that's gimmicky.
No.
But the Bucs, the away version of the creamsicles, the all white with the creamsicle numbers, and Bucko Bruce, yeah,
we're still waiting on the Nike-fied Buffalo Bill uniform too that they're going to wear.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's coming.
That's right. They made that announcement at the draft, right?
Yeah.
That was a big deal. Yeah, I feel like, okay, we'll blame Nike. If we're going to blame anybody, we'll blame
Nike.
Yeah, we'll blame the uniform manufacturers because let's face it, there was a time when we could celebrate the unveiling of a new uniform, and now it just feels like it's a daily occurrence. I think now hot uniform talk really, for its purpose here in the sports bar, it comes down to debating the best uniforms, the best combos, the best uniform combinations on a field. If you want to talk about any given Sunday, I mean, what uniform combinations just pop and make you think, ooh, that's a good-looking game because of the uniform combo?
Listen, it probably depends on the area you grew up in. So if I saw a matchup you normally see, like, say, Raiders against Cowboys.
I was going to say Steelers-Cowboys.
Yeah.
Always a classic, right? If the Eagles wore their Kelly Greens If the Eagles and Giants happen to wear their throwbacks on the same, not the Giants throwbacks that look like the Montreal Canadiens, you know what I'm talking about, the 80s era. If you had the 80s era Eagles and Giants, that would be a pretty sharp look. I'm always a big fan of the uniform combo between the Chiefs and the Chargers. When those two teams square off, that's a good look too. I think that's where hot uniform talk now evolves to, because there's always a new announcement. We'll get the Nike-ification of the Bills here at some point, and we'll discuss that. But yeah, hot uniform talk feels like a daily occurrence. We could really find something every day.
We got Adam Terry waiting in our green room.
Great. We'll get Adam Terry on with us next. Former NFL player, Baltimore Ravens, former offensive lineman of the Baltimore Ravens, Rochesterian Adam Terry, stopping by the Sports Bar next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger. Your snooze button has been dreading. WROC AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Wings continue their homestand tonight. Next up, the top affiliate of the Boston Red Sox, Worcester, the opponent. All the games in the majors under the lights tonight. The Yankees home against Seattle. The Mets begin a series down in Baltimore. Pete Alonso on playing some good ball.
We're playing good baseball right now, so that's really all you can ask for. And this past homestand, I think everybody who's had their number called, whether that be position players or pitching, like everyone's answered the bell. We've played really good baseball so far, or this week. So hopefully we can continue that good form. I think we got 6 more and give it hell for the last 6 days before the break.
NHL and NHLPA have ratified their new labor agreement. The season in the NHL will go from 82 to 84 games. This goes until the year 2030. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
I think the people at Fisher are amazing. I love Rochester. I love the Bills fans down that way.
Kirk Cousins admitting he felt misled by the Falcons a year ago.
Michael Penix Jr.
Terry Fontenot should have been fired on the spot.
Joe Burrow. Batmobile.
Mike Danger.
Ooh, Sports Bar Book Club?
Yeah.
You tell me what you read, and I'll tell you what I read.
What?
Yeah. You think I don't read? I read 4 books. 4 books while I was gone for a couple of weeks.
Gene Battaglia.
Did you see any Bills logos on your travels over?
Funny enough, I did.
Did you?
I did. It is Bills Mafia, after all.
College football. More thoughts on what's being said today at Big 12 Media Days with direct shots being taken at the Big Ten, and I'm here for it.
And this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Selfie in front of Toys R Us, assuming Toys R Us is still open.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the Sports Bar, it's Danger and Battaglia. Excited to have in Adam Terry, former Baltimore Raven, NFL lineman, football advocate, just all-around good guy. Last book you read, Adam? Gene doesn't believe that I read 4 books while I was on vacation for 2 weeks.
Books.
I mean, it runs the gamut. You know, it's just what's the genre, right? So one of them, Teddy Roosevelt, Wilderness something or other in that vicinity.
Okay.
So big thick book. But usually that's when I start is during the middle of the season. Is you can only do so much on your iPad on these flights as I fly around, but you know, a good book is one. So I'll take some recommendations right now.
Okay, that sounds good. You do what?
Well,
what do you
I see. The thing is, like,
when
Banana
Ball was just that's on the docket right now.
When I talk to a guy who played professional football at the highest level, I don't view you as mortal. I view you as somebody who doesn't need to read a motivational book by the guy that trained Michael Jordan. But, you know, like those were the books that I was reading. I was reading Relentless by Tim Grover, and then the follow-up Winning, where he dives a little bit more into his relationship with Kobe before he passed away. And, you know, just hearing the stories of the sacrifice and the training and the early mornings in the gym and just the constant battle to be ready to go, ready to compete, ready to rip the heart out of your competitor. I don't feel like somebody who played at the level that you played at needs those kind of books or is interested in those kind of pages.
Yeah, I mean, probably not at that point in time, but right now it's you know, you're in the sphere of influence where I'm with a lot of kids and coaching. So it's, you know, what can I pull out of those books and then be able to reiterate back to the kids. You know, it's not necessarily my motivation, but how can I get a kid going? And that's week to week. And, you know, it's every effort that you put in, it's going to be a little bit different. And each kid that you talk to, each one's a little bit of a different button, right? So you could, you know, be in a multitude of different situations, and you got to be able to pull something quick and be able to deliver it concisely and get them going.
Yeah, Adam Terry, our guest, we'll be talking a little bit about your involvement in this event with flag football coming up here. You know, the fastest growing sport, dare I say, in America. Maybe some would say pickleball. Adam, your thoughts here, like because I look at you as an example for others in the NFL. Because when guys leave the game, it can be tough, right? Like it's tough letting go and they don't have a plan. You are a successful businessman. You're a successful broadcaster. Like, what would be your advice, not just for any player, but anybody who's kind of looking for that change?
Yeah, I mean it's every walk of life, right? You come out and when I grew up, my dad worked in a paper mill. My mom worked in the school, and it was one of those where you relive all of those lessons that you went through. And for me, it's how do I give back, right? Like how do you come back, and is it coaching up a kid and trying to get him to the next level? And we've seen that a multitude of times, or whether that is going on the air and covering a big game, covering a big upset. Those are the things that I look at the most, and it brings a lot of joy, and it's just a good opportunity to give back.
Talk a little bit about what we're doing here with flag football, because to see the growth here over the last, I don't even want to say it's been 5 years. I don't think it's been 5 years. I mean, it's been just remarkable how quickly girls have gravitated to this sport and how much it's exploded in our region.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even a first adopter. Like I'm jumping on the bandwagon too, and it's from two aspects. It's one as a football coach and a skills and drills guy, and then it's two as a father, right? It's a great opportunity to sit and talk about football with my daughter, and I'm trying to get her to be a quarterback, because at 6'8", 330 pounds, you really didn't have that opportunity unless it was fat guy football on Fridays or Saturdays before a game at some big stadium. So. It's fun, right? So I think one of the biggest things is give the kids what we're doing right now is Sundays over at McQuaid's Field, and it's an opportunity for us to take a bunch of committed individuals that are coaches and give back. And I've got a guy as a wide receiver coach who's Andre Fonnet, who's also the guys Gage Chilai head coach, and
friend of the sports bar.
Yeah, friend of the sports bar, friend of mine. You go to Syracuse, you get to learn who he is and what he's about. And Hunter Walsh, who's a up and coming quarterback kind of guru. We'll throw guru tags on these guys, but it's taking what we know, and then you're now an audience where what I've seen the most out of the girls' game right now is there's no ego, and to talk to we've started out small, 7 to 8 girls that are showing up. Conversely, when you look at the boys' side, it's 40 to 50 kids showing up. And then this week it was an opportunity where one of my former employees, and who's the head strength coach out at Brockport right now, Brian Herring, he was the club head coach, right? So what he did is he goes, hey, this is what's going on right now, and they're switching over to a varsity sport. So everybody within that started saying, okay, well, what do I have to do? How do I get better? And what are the things? And for me right now, it's just giving kids an opportunity to go and do that.
Yeah, we're talking with Adam Terry, former second-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens, Syracuse great, and just involved in helping build the flag football program here in Section 5 with athletes locally. What would be your advice to any dad who maybe their girl is showing sparks of interest here, or maybe not ready yet for high school, but really you don't have it at the entry level here like soccer and some other sports?
Yeah, I just start how I did, pick up a football and walk out in the front yard and play catch. I think for the longest time, if you played baseball or softball or you played lacrosse, you could go out there and toss it around. But now it's, opportunity to just go out in the front yard and play catch. And that's where it started for me. And like I said, I'm just a speck on this, what Section 5 is. You look at what Jen Lipinski, who was at Spencerport as a athletic director and a coach, bringing the game out there, and now how she's morphed that into, just a great Section 5 and a great statewide opportunity for a lot of girls. So, like I keep saying, I'm just a speck, and I'm trying to do my part with the information that I've ascertained over the few years that I played in the NFL.
Adam, when you think about just globally what flag football is becoming right before our very eyes, I mean, the cynic in me says, look, if there's money to be made, the NFL is going to make it, and the NFL is behind the part of the growth of this, right? But I also know that player safety has been a concern, and I know with parents, a lot of parents will shy their kids away from football because of the potential for significant injury. Flag football kind of alleviates a little bit of that. So now the NFL has almost another, a whole separate game that's safer and less risk averse. But is there any fear that some of the athletes that could be playing the NFL are rather going to play in flag football, and will the two streams cross paths in a way that one might affect the other as far as the quality overall of play?
Well, I think we're pretty far away from that. But, just how I look at it is the NFL looks at it as how does it grow the game, right? And you look at 2028 in L.A., what that's going to be, and the opportunity to go out there and play flag football. I don't want to say it's just necessarily a revenue generator for the NFL, but it is. It's to get eyes on it, and then it's also to diminish the cost basis for everybody to get involved, right? So, running a slant is running a slant, whether you have pads on or whether you don't have pads on, and those concepts and the skill sets that can build over a period of time are analogous, but whether you got flags on or whether you got pads on, one, you're going to get hit coming across the middle, one is a little bit more less of a sudden impact.
Yeah, for folks who aren't familiar, flag football, Section 5, it's in the spring. So, like if you're a soccer player, and Adam, just your philosophy here. Are you one that says, hey, play different sports, try different things, or focus on one or two things? Because you're coaching up kids not just in football, but in different sports as well.
Yeah, so, my background when we first came into town, I started a business. It was a franchise called Powertrain, and we've been instructing and making kids bigger, faster, stronger for many, many years now. And now I'm leaving that and going out on my own, and it's Exalt Sports Performance. And the area that allows me to get into now is doing more of the skills and drills and bringing individuals in that we didn't necessarily have the opportunity to do because of the rigors and the construct of what we were. But now it's an opportunity to just continue to grow the games, right? So that's not necessarily just flag, right? And it is how do we make a better soccer player that in the spring, if they're not doing travel, they become a better all-around athlete, and then they can jump in and play some flag football too. So realistically, what I'm doing is combining all of my passions over the past few years, and it's commentating, and it's skill development, and then it's also making kids bigger, faster, stronger, so then they can have those experiences later on in life. And being a multi-sport athlete just gives you that opportunity to continue to grow as a person. I just, I had a bunch of college kids in one of my facilities today, and we're just sitting there and we're talking about it. And he was injured, and he's coming back off an injury, and the conversation is going back and forth. And I said, hey, if this is the worst thing that ever happens to you, it's a pretty good life.
Yeah.
And then, we walked through it, and, didn't stay in college long enough to get a doctorate or anything. That's my wife's side. Yeah. But it's how do you take a kid and give them experiences, and then hopefully they blossom from that point on, whether it's on the field or in the weight room, or whether that's outside and they become a great businessman, or whatever that future brings them.
Adam Terry joining us in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia. I want to talk about what goes through the mind of an NFL player at this time of year, but you mentioned 2028. That's when we'll see flag football make its debut in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Is it a given that NFL players should get the first right to be in the flag football tournament at the Olympics, or are there specialists in flag football that deserve that chance to play in the Olympics before the superstar NFL player? I think if the NFL had it their way, I know which direction they would go.
Yeah, I think for me, the game's at its infancy. Like it has been going a long time, but being in the locker room with a lot of those guys, it might be not a superstar player that is an NFL player that jumps into that and is just better at what that game is. You're not going to run 9 routes, and you're not going to have these high-profile wide receivers. You might have those guys that are slot receivers that can work in more confined areas, and those guys might be a little bit better. So if you take off the hat and you put in a personnel manager hat on, you're looking for a smaller confined space that the quarterback can deliver that ball in tighter windows. I think for the most part, most of those quarterbacks are going to be effective throwing the ball. But as we see, are they adequate behind the line of scrimmage, and can they make some people miss and deliver the ball down the field?
Are you surprised that the NFL owners were as open to letting their players play in the Olympics?
No, right? Like it's, I just think it's one that when you look at it, you have to deal with it, right? Like, you're going to have to deal with that. And if it is an opportunity, I mean, just look at the NHL for years, right? They fought it, and then they finally get to an opportunity to send a great team out on the ice, or a dream team in basketball. It does a lot for the game. And everybody that is in those locker rooms are now working towards having the ability to go win an Olympic gold medal. Like, that is – I've run out of a lot of tunnels, but to walk with your country's flag and be able to go out and participate at something that wasn't there when you first started, that's something that's really cool to me.
Yeah, Adam Terry, our guest here. As Adam, we were having this conversation. When you were a player, how did you view this time of year? Were you soaking up every day and enjoying life, or was it more like the Sunday scaries with a countdown coming up?
Well, I think it's two phases, right? It's twofold. If you're a guy that's coming off an injury, you have every day marked down on your calendar. What are my checkpoints? Am I going to be ready by then? What is that going to look like? Have I been communicating with the training staff? So that is one mindset. And then the other one is, hey, you're completely healthy. You do get to spend a little bit of time away. You're worrying about getting bigger, faster, stronger, honing your skill. But there is a little bit, one night you go to bed and there's a line of demarcation on that calendar that you're starting to go, oh, okay, now we're getting there. It's about to be there. And for offensive linemen, it's the heat, it's the brutality of the game, it's the ability to go out and be with your teammates. So it's definitely a mixed bag of emotion. Some of it is like, oh, okay, we got to do this again. And then that subsides, and then you're back into the opportunity to succeed and go out there and try to win a Super Bowl. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do.
I want to talk to you about Week 1, your Ravens and the Bills, Sunday night. Want to take a break. I also want to know about the life cycle of an NFL player. And there's a couple of players right now that have been kind of absent from their teams for one reason or another, but they're trying to get more money. And what goes through your mind when you're in that stage of your career where you kind of realize, hey, this might be my last chance to cash out. Take a break here. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
We'll take a break, come back. If you're able to join us for a little bit longer.
I'm here.
Adam Terry joining us in the Sports Bar. More next on The Fan.
To a sports spectacle with Maggie and Perloff on 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester weekday mornings. Then let the sports banter make your alarm clock look like a bad idea. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Red Wing homestand continues tonight as Worcester comes in for the first of 6 games. All the games in the majors on the lights tonight. The Yankees opening up a homestand against Seattle. Aaron Boone on the state of the pinstripes.
I'm totally confident we'll get to where we need to be by the end. We just got to obviously start playing better and more consistently in all phases. We're going through it right now, is important in developing character of your team. You got to go through these things and you got to meet the moment sometimes.
The Mets begin a season series in Baltimore. The NHL and NHLPA, their season goes from 82 to 84 games coming up next season as the league ratifying their new labor agreement. This will go into the year 2030. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. 2 rounds for the price of 1 today to Wildwood Country Club. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Spending some time this afternoon with Adam Terry, former Baltimore Raven NFL lineman, working flag football in Section 5. We're talking about the growth of flag football, but we also, while we have you, Adam, we got to talk about Week 1. I mean, last time we spoke was at 3 Heads. We were doing Friday Football Talk Live, and we were getting ready for the divisional round game between the Ravens and the Bills, and the Bills get the win that weekend. They rematch Week 1. The NFL knows what they're doing. They're putting that matchup in primetime, Sunday Night Football. Talk a little bit about the aftermath of that game for the Ravens. Where they are positioned now, and how you see this matchup here. There's a lot of things that can happen in the preseason, but just given what we know about these 2 organizations meeting head to head here Week 1.
Yeah, I mean, the aftermath for Baltimore was just you go on vacation really fast, and whether that's your family, your wife, or your significant other, they just decide, hey, this is where we're going and this is what we're doing. So I think for Baltimore, there is a bad taste in their mouth, right? Like, it was a good game, right? There were some mishaps and miscues throughout that just didn't allow a Baltimore Lamar Jackson, which I thought was a very good team, and I thought they could go down that path. But then you get a guy like Josh Allen, and I think both teams, when you start to look and you start to talk about how far they can go, it's those 2 guys, right? It's Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and it's going to be a good one. I really think I like what Baltimore has done and how they've built and their key pieces that they're going to go out of the draft for their defense. And then, you look at a team like Buffalo. It's a well-coached team that offensive line gets a little bit better, and now they're going to have an opportunity to go out there and protect the guy that's going to sling that rock around in order to catapult them deeper into the playoffs. And I've lived here long enough, right, that, when the Bills are winning, it's a rockin' town.
Yeah, in baseball, you have, unfortunately, in postseason play, like sometimes a pitcher will have this moment like Nestor Cortez for the Yankees giving up the big home run or what. You don't normally have that in football, but you kind of did in that game with Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
I mean, how does what's the kind of the vibe down there with Baltimore and Andrews, who, by all accounts, a likable guy? You don't want to see anything like that happen to anyone.
Well, I think not just a likable guy, but a lovable guy. I mean, he's one that when you start to break down key guys over the years, Mark Andrews is exceeded expectation, right? So, when you're at that level and you're a great player, you're going to carry that burden up until that next opportunity. So for me, I look at a guy like Mark Andrews and having a bounce back year and the key pieces that they've thrown around him and the progression of a guy like Isaiah Likely, you're in a good spot. But that's no different than giving up a sack as a tackle or throwing a pick. Like, it's tough. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. And believe me, I sit here behind a microphone. Those guys are not going to let him live that down until he can have them think about something else. And, I think in in his mind, it's how do I help this team win hoist a Lombardi Trophy?
And in their backfield, you have Derrick Henry, who I think when he arrived in Baltimore, a lot of people said, he's washed. There's no way. But you see the guy, and he's a specimen.
Sure.
And you're somebody who works with kids to get them in the best physical shape.
Yeah.
That guy, I can't even imagine what his workouts must be like. Do you think there's a wall for a guy like Derrick Henry? Because at that position, with the beating that they take year in, year out, is there a wall for a player like Henry, and when do we expect that?
So with a guy like that, and usually you're talking about the situation as far as it's not a wall, it's a cliff, right? So you're going, and then it's some form or fashion of injury, right? I saw Deion Sanders with a toe, right? Like I saw him at the back end of his career, and that thing was never going to go away, right? It was, it did, but now it's an opportunity to watch some of those guys that Jamal Lewis that I played with, and Baltimore does a really good job of letting people go, including myself, that they think have reached their full potential. And the luxury of playing in a great organization like that and a great organization like Buffalo is you can then bring culture to a locker room, so you get a few more years. And the opportunity to see a guy like Derrick Henry progress, and that load is offloaded by a guy like Lamar Jackson that can go and run around and make things happen. Because it's not, yes, it's a run-first offense, but it's also, too, you're not running power every play. You're not just running ISO every play. You do have the opportunity to be a little bit of a magician back there. And then you take the hammer, and that's Derrick Henry, and you let him pound that a little bit.
The Ravens are known for taking the preseason seriously. They had that winning streak, and, of course, you get the Bills week 1. I'm like, oh, great, they'll be primed and ready to go. Why? It's a copycat league. Why haven't more teams kind of followed that pattern of Harbaugh and callousing his team up?
It's hard. Right? And you get a lot of veterans in there that you don't know if people are coming back from injury, but it's physically grueling when you go into camp, and it's that way. Some don't place a big of a onus on that, and it is, hey, we're going to be ready by week 1. And when you go down there, you're ready by week 1 of preseason. So there's two different mentalities of how you're going to approach that and get people ready. So, but the mentality that I played in, you've got guys like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs and, Hall of Famer and a Hall of, like you just start going down that litany of guys, and that was just that was the norm, right? Like it was play like a Raven, you go in there and that's what it was, And I think that is where Baltimore started to see success, is it permeated through the locker room, and you didn't want to be the weak link. And I've been in, at the end of my career, I've been in teams and I know why they don't win, right? And you walk into the locker room and you're like, oh, this is why. And then you walk into some and you're like, okay, well, I can understand why they're like that. And they show glimpses, but they're not there yet. And usually it's the mentality of the coach, and it's the veteran leadership within there that can go through those tough stints. And I think for when I was in Baltimore, I started with Brian Billick, and he was the same way. And when Harbaugh came in, he had cranked it up a little bit because he had a point to prove. But I also think it started from the top down, and that was Ozzie Newsome. And Ozzie was about winning and making sure that when he picked you, you had an opportunity to go out there and play. And if you didn't last very long.
Former NFL lineman Adam Terry joining us for a few more minutes here in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia. As far as what we as consumers watch when the NFL kicks off their season week 1, as a player, is week 1 the most physical of all weeks in the NFL schedule?
Well, you should be the freshest, right? You should be going out there and you should be fresh. Like I said before, it's if you're injured or you're not injured, like for a lot of people, if you've been hurt and you've been going through preseason camp, you're getting ready for week 1, right? So that is probably your prime, and you're going to be able to jump out there early. Most of the other time, if you're not a veteran and you don't have something etched in stone, you're kind of beat up by that point in time, because you're trying to prove yourself throughout preseason in order to get on that roster and put yourself in a situation that you can go out there and play well.
I bring it up because that game last year between the Chiefs and the Ravens, week 1, I think was the most physical game I saw all last year, all last NFL's. I mean, it was two teams just beating the hell out of each other. And I thought to myself, the Ravens being as physical as they are, when you play them later in the season, they're going to be physical, but they're going to be a little bit beat up because that takes a toll over time.
Yeah, and you take your whole off season and you are left with Baltimore, for instance. They lose to KC. I was at that game, and I walked away going, wow, Travis Kelce can play. Like the relationship between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, I walked away going, okay. And then I walked away from it, and I was like, wow, that's a pretty awesome connection between quarterback and tight end or even wide receiver. But then now you go into week one, and if you're Baltimore, you got sent home and you had to go on vacation, or you had to do this, or you had to, start doing something else, and then you come back and now you're matched up against a foe that you just lost to. I think that carries a lot of weight as well. Just coming out of the AFC North, like you're going to go and you're going to go play Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what the record is. It is going to be a very physical game. It's going to be a very violent game. And, hopefully everybody's up for the task at hand.
I can't recall a time recently, at least, that we've been this fired up for Syracuse football here. Adam, part of the broadcast crew, and Labor Day weekend, you open up in Atlanta against Tennessee, but it's an Orange team that lost a lot, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. No more Cal McCord. Give us kind of like an overview. What do we expect out of the Orange this year?
Well, it's not necessarily the flip of the roster that Fran Brown had when he first walked in the door. He built it. When he first walked in the door, it was going right to the portal. How can I get there, and how fast can I get there? And then also with his recruiting ties and the ability to go when you were at Georgia, you've seen a couple kids that may not be playing, or they can play, and that's an opportunity. Once they hit the portal, you bring them right back in. But you also have to understand you've got to build and develop a team over the course of years. And this full off season, you get to see. It hasn't been deemed ink, pen to paper yet, but they look like they're going to have a heck of a squad and the ability to build. So I just look at the college football right now, and you have to have a player personnel guy, a GM, that can really go and look at it just like the NFL does. And one, it's free agency, and that's the transfer portal. And then you've also got the opportunity to go out there in the draft, per se, and go get really good college players that could play right away. So I love what they've been able to do. I love the atmosphere that's created. I've called games in there where there's probably 2 times as many for a men's lacrosse game, right? And you're in there with 10,000 people in the stands. Granted, they might have said there's 20, 30, 40,000 in there, but the reality is when you look and there's this starkness to what the Dome is and what it has been, and then all of a sudden you can't see any seats in the stadium, and the place is rocking. I don't think they have seen that since the era of Coach P and when McNabb started walking out the door. And towards the end of my tenure, we started to go down in numbers as far as attendance goes. But now, that Miami game, I mean, that is that was something that was awesome. And you saw those guys and how the culture of that locker room is, and they just continue to fight. And then it's the next man up.
Where are you at with the college game right now? I mean, it's so different from when you played, and I don't know that you can put the toothpaste back into the tube, but there's a lot of people that say it's broken and it needs to be fixed. There's a lot of people, I enjoy it. I'm not as invested in it as a lot of people do, but I think what we're seeing is a higher quality at the time when you're watching more of college athletics, whether it be in the men's basketball tournament or towards the end of the postseason there for college football.
I think one of the biggest things that you're starting to see is it's more professional, right? Like with the institution of NIL and how things are shaking out, guys are taking pay cuts to jump to the NFL, which is crazy to me. Yeah. It may have happened before, but that was illegal back then. Yeah. So, we don't know what that is. But I think the biggest thing that coaches are looking at, I'm going through this process with my son as he's being recruited, is do you love the game, right? Are you there for the right reasons? So I think now as how this all shakes out is you're going to see some more professional coaches come back to the college ranks because they have to do that ability to discern whether or not you're there for the right reason. And at 18, somebody's going to hand you a bag full of money or put money into your bank account. Like, yeah, let's do it. But you as a coach and you as a person that is going to coach them and instill upon them the matters of the game, like it's a tough thing to go through.
Adam Terry, our guest here in the Sports Bar. Going back to the beginning of our conversation, for folks who wanting to learn more about flag football and get their girls out there, tell people what you got going on there.
Yeah, so what we're doing right now is it's kind of a low-key thing. And on Sundays from 6 to 7 at McQuaid's Field, we've just started with a small group. I think the first week it was 3 girls, and then it's built into more than that. And I think probably this week when we step on the field, it's going to be 14 or 15 girls. And, the reference point for how the boys' game has, we're at 30 to 50, depending on whether people are traveling or whether they're playing their other sports. And for me, I just look at it as an opportunity to continue to develop and enjoy, right? Like my daughter, if she jumps into this and has fun with it, fantastic. If not, like it's one of those moments in time where you can sit there and play catch and run around and talk football. But I think the bug that is going in and the opportunities now that are starting to be placed in front of a lot of the girls is a fantastic opportunity. Division I football, you usually say that, hey, Power 4, that's the guys program. Well, now I think you look at what it is locally with, Geneseo and Brockport and Roberts Wesleyan and how they're starting to grow and add varsity sports in there for girls flag. It's a great opportunity, and I hope it continues to grow, and I want to be part of that as it grows, but it also might take some of the numbers out in some of the other sports. But what it is just another opportunity for some of those girls that might be sitting on a bench in a different sport to now go out there and have an opportunity to play and run around. And that's what we're starting to see is, girls that are playing a bunch of different sports. Now this is an opportunity for them to go out and run around. And, with the girls that have walked into what we're doing on Sundays and running around on the field, they have come away and said, this is what I want to do, right? Like I've played soccer in the past, or I did this. And now it's like, hey, I'm all in. And the questions and the egos are not there. So the egos aren't there. And the questions that are being asked, one of our girls she came from Webster Schrader. So they're coming off a state title win. And one of the questions I go, what do you want to learn? Right? Like I'm an offensive lineman, like I'm bringing people in and we're trying to coach and teach. She goes, what I really want to be able to do is find the windows in the zone much better than I did during the season. Oh. And I go, yeah, cool. Well, let's do it. Yeah. Right? Like, that's a great question. It's one where it's not, hey, how many balls am I supposed to catch today? It's like, hey, these are the things that I'm working on and how do I integrate it into my game? And for us, like I continually say, I want to be part of helping this grow. And I think there are so many people within this community, Section 5 right now, that have kickstarted that and are running with it. And for me, it's just an opportunity to continue to grow the game. And that'll be one of our events in August is, grow the game and, have a couple opportunities where you can go out there and run around and play catch and try the game out. Right. And I think there is the only barrier to entry in flag football is showing up. Right. It's not like you have to buy a multitude of different equipment. It's show up and compete. And I think that is being welcomed by a lot of individuals that are starting to get into that game.
What I love about Adam Terry, Gino, and I want to date myself here. I think first time I think I met you was maybe like 10 years ago, pre-Sports Bar.
That's right.
The Fitness Edge radio show, right? And I remember talking, we were talking about powertrain. We were talking about the work you're doing. What I love about Adam is a lot of times a professional athlete, when their career is over, they struggle to find their purpose. And man, it feels like your purpose has been crystal clear from the moment you stopped playing professional ball. You're working with, developing, and making the kids, the best versions of themselves they can be through sport. And I think it's And I think it's commendable. You're doing a great job in your growth of flag football here in Section 5. And this event that you're talking about that you're doing every Sunday is fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, as my wife says, I sometimes go into that mode of perfection, right? And sometimes I have to settle for just a little bit of mediocrity in here. My goal for all of this is, how do we give the opportunity for the individual that steps either in the weight room, on the turf, or in the field, for them to succeed and take that opportunity. For me, if I hadn't worked hard and had a few people see in me some things, right? Like my high school football coach was also the strength coach. He made me bigger, faster, stronger, and then it allowed me to have an opportunity to go play college football. When I got in there, I was not a highly ranked or recruited kid, and it was just my stubbornness and sometimes my ignorance of like, hey, this kid's better than you. But it was just showing up every day, getting a little bit better, and then going out on the field. And, the same thing goes with my experience in the NFL. Did it end where I wanted it to? No, but it was also, those are life experiences that, when my kids or people in the facilities, that's hard. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not really that hard. It's just, you got to be able to do it, and you have to want to do it, or else it's just not going to happen.
Adam, it's great having you in studio.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming down.
I appreciate it.
Adam Terry. Check it out. That's Sundays at McQuaid Field.
Yeah, so we'll post it on social media. Our social media right now is Exalt SP, is Exalt Sports Performance. Like I said before, everybody knows us in town as Powertrain, and we've segued out of that, and now we can take our opportunity to go and run with it. So now it's Exalt Sports Performance, and being able to bring in skills and drills from different areas, whether that's opportunity to bring in lacrosse coaches from wherever that we have either trained or have been part of it. And, the same thing goes for football and a multitude of other sports that we're introducing with this skill work.
Enjoy your summer. We'll talk to you more later this fall, yeah?
Hey, I heard there's something going down, but
maybe
we come back a little bit more often.
Love it. Adam, thanks for the time. Adam Terry joining us in the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia on The Fan. Happy hours right around the corner. We have more next on The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to We talk sports. The Fan, Rochester.
Gino, I don't know about you. Spending some time with Adam Terry.
Yeah.
I don't want to run through a wall. Believe that anything is possible.
Jack writing into us, the Fan Rochester, our handle. Simple. Adam Terry, rack 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Knows his stuff, obviously. Former pro football player for the Ravens, and just overall great dude. And again, like, I don't want to stress this. I can't stress this enough. Like, we've talked to professional athletes when their time is up, when they retire, and some of them really struggle with figuring out what their purpose is now that the game is passed them by. And I'm inspired by a guy like Adam, because you could see he clearly figured out what his purpose was going to be, and he's been steadfast in that commitment to making sure that the kids that he gets to work with come out the best versions of themselves.
That's somebody like retired, second-round pick NFL, great career, yet he's out on a weekend night at 6 o'clock at McQuaid working with kids.
Yeah.
Like, not getting paid for that.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah. And, man, and be able to get some of his insight as far as what goes through the mind of an NFL player at this time of year, what goes through the mind of an NFL player, say for the Baltimore Ravens after they lose in the divisional round of the Buffalo Bills. I mean, with Mark Andrews specifically, I'm not going to buy into him being defined by that one play for the rest of his career. He's had a great career, and I think he's still got a lot of good football left in him. I'm not selling that guy short.
Funny thing, same thing happened to Lee Evans. Lee Evans dropping a point conversion or whatever it was against the Patriots. The Ravens go on to lose that game. I don't even think of Lee Evans in that regard, but what Adam said was, that's the lasting image. Until you can go back on the field and give something else people to talk about, that's the problem. Like, say for Nestor Cortez, I give him that example.
It's a long off season, man.
Long off season.
And that's all you remember.
And you got to live with that. Mm-hmm. That's tough. And for that matter, Devin Williams, who was with the Brewers last year, gives up that homer to Alonso. He hasn't been right since.
Still isn't right.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. If you missed Adam Terry, check out our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester on YouTube. We stream every afternoon from 3 until 6. You can go back and watch any part of the show that you may have missed, or you can go in the Odyssey app, the free-to-download Odyssey app, and scroll back to any part of the show that you may have missed for the next 72 hours.
Did you see the comment on there?
No, I didn't.
Binkley, Royals, Mets, let's go. Like, all right, thank you, Jay, for watching.
So Friday is Binkley's watching on YouTube. Love that. Friday is your trip to Kansas City. Binkley, you live from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, our Odyssey Sports sister station. But really the reason for your trip, I mean, other than to see Jay, you're going to see Mets Royals. But it's Mets Royals and the 10-year anniversary of the Royals World Series championship against the Mets.
Do I wear, like, Amer gear? Or I'm wearing the seats we're going to have are fantastic. These are like Mike Danger sort of seats.
Oh, okay.
The Diamond Club.
Oh.
Like basically behind home plate.
If you're not wearing Mets gear, are you really a fan?
What's the thing? I mean, do I want to give it like I want to try to signal to everybody, but do I like who is that in Wrigley there that wears the pink cap? The story, so the guy knows his wife knows that he's at the game. Do I wear something like that?
You've got to wear Mets gear.
We got to wear Mets gear.
You got to wear Mets gear. You're not going to be the only Mets fan there. I can promise you.
Are you kidding? They're welcoming, happy Midwestern people that you grew up with.
Yeah,
they're not going to give me any.
You know
trouble.
why they call it the Heartland, right? Because the brain isn't there.
Hey yo.
No, nothing. Okay. That's going to be fun. That's Friday. Jay Binkley joining us. Gino live in Kansas City. The sports bar will be a special one to remember come this Friday.
When you want to do this Adam Sandler thing, too?
Let's do that now, since you brought it up, Gino. Go ahead. Give us a shout at 4-5. Let's do this. 866-4FAN. 866-4326. That's our number. 866-4326. If you call her 5, we'll get you a free pair of tickets to see Adam Sandler. He's coming September 21st, KeyBank Center in Buffalo. That's courtesy of Live Nation. You can get tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or win them for free if you're caller 5. Again, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Good luck.
Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
Beautiful night for a ball game in Rochester as Worcester, the opponent, the homestand continuing. In the majors, all the games on the lights tonight. Yankees taking on Seattle. The Mets beginning a series in Baltimore. Pete Alonso sees things heading in the right direction.
We're playing good baseball right now, so that's really all you can ask for. And this past homestand, I think everybody who's had their number called, whether that be position players or pitching, like everyone's answered the bell. We've played really good baseball so far, this week. So hopefully we can continue that good form. I think we got 6 more and give it hell for the last 6 days before the break.
We have labor peace in the NHL. The league and the union ratifying their new labor agreement. The season will go from 82 to 84 regular season games. This agreement goes until the year 2030. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
I think the people at Fisher are amazing. I love Rochester. I love the Bills fans down that way.
Kirk Cousins admitting he felt misled by the Falcons a year ago.
Michael Penix Jr.
Terry Fontenot should have been fired on the spot.
Joe Burrow. Batmobile.
Mike Danger.
Ooh, Sports Bar Book Club?
Yeah.
You tell me what you read, and I'll tell you what I read.
What?
Yeah.
You think I don't read? I read 4 books. 4 books while I was gone for a couple of weeks.
Gene Battaglia.
Did you see any Bills logos on your travels over?
Funny enough, I did.
Did you?
I did. It is Bills Mafia, after all.
College football, more thoughts on what's being said today at Big 12 Media Days with direct shots being taken at the Big Ten, and I'm here for it.
And this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Selfie in front of Toys R Us, assuming Toys R Us is still open.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
You're back in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Unbelievable afternoon as Adam Terry spending some time with us last hour. Really enjoyed our conversation with him. We talked some fantasy football earlier. Jeff Erickson, senior editor for RotoWire. You can catch us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, The Fan Rochester. Go back and watch any part of the show that you may have missed. Also, in the free-to-download Odyssey app, you can hear us in the iHeartRadio app. Tune in as well. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. And, Gino, happy anniversary. It was 15 years ago today that we endured the decision.
Listen, you can love me, and I know some of you hate me as well. But the one thing you will always do is respect me and appreciate the way I approach the game and what I've given to this game. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, what we got going on over there?
I don't know.
Siri's having a conversation.
Siri's upset with LeBron there.
Well, she needs to appreciate him a little bit more.
Do you remember how angry a lot of people were that LeBron would face a city like that? The way he just picked up, and it's one thing you want to change your life, but to do it in that
Do you think if LeBron could get a mulligan, and I don't know if he's been asked, I'm sure he has, would he have done it that way? Would he have done the decision the way it was done? Because for a lot of fans, myself included, I can't view that through a positive lens. I want to view him through, I do want to appreciate him for the ball player that he is. He's, at worst, the second best basketball player of all time.
He got some bad advice, and the guy that you should blame here was LeBron, number one. But it's also Jim Gray. This was Jim Gray's concoction. Jim Gray, who for years did Monday Night Football and doing his thing with Tom Brady, and he's just an entrepreneur. And he figured this out that, hey, LeBron, you're with the Boys and Girls Club. What if we really raise some attention and some money for the Boys and Girls Club? So it was a made-for-TV event bought and produced by Jim Gray at the Boys and Girls Club, and here I am, and nobody was paying attention to whatever the charitable message. You don't even remember that part of it. No, you don't remember that part of it. You remember the snapshot.
You're making that up? You made that part up.
I am not making any of this up. Like who thought that was a good idea that you would roll this out? Like, if you were going to say, hey, by the way, after doing this all, I love you, Cleveland, even that would have been kind of unsettling. It was just the ultimate, look at me. In a team sport, look at me. Here I am, me.
Doesn't it feel, though, in the last couple of years that the age of the super team is gone? Like, the NBA, for whatever way, shape, or form it's happened, it feels like those days are behind us.
Okay, I thought about this morning, and the question is why, and here's my answer. I think there's just so much talent in the league. Like before, like in the days of LeBron, okay, you had like 10 to 15 guys maybe, and if you wanted to get somewhere, that's how you would engineer things. Really, the Warriors were kind of the last team. Like, you're going into next season, and Adam Silver has to be over the moon because, my gosh, well, you have Oklahoma City, and boy, they could be the next destiny, but you also have Denver, and you have Minnesota, and you have all these great. Don't look at Houston, and don't forget about the Lakers, and then the East, wide open. It doesn't lend itself right now for players to team up because, you know what? That's not going to do it.
It's almost, I say this about baseball. Like, baseball feels like every team, as regional a sport as it is, it feels like every team has at least one guy, one superstar that you can at least get behind. And in the NBA, I think you could say the same thing, that in the NBA now it feels like every team has somebody that you have to have eyes on. You have to pay attention to what that specific player is doing because they're young and they're electric or they're exciting or they're a veteran, they've been around forever, and they're a superstar. You just can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, I mean, name me a team in baseball right now that doesn't have that.
Right.
Like Pittsburgh even.
Yeah.
I mean,
right, exactly. 866 4FAN. I don't know why 454 is in my head. 866-4326 is our phone number.
Got 2 wrong calls from White Castle. I'm not kidding you. Like, what? We don't have a White Castle in Rochester.
Wait, the phone was ringing? We were going to take a call from somebody thinking they were calling White Castle?
The clerk on the other end was saying that something was wrong with my order. I'm thinking, okay, this is somebody like, okay, I got it wrong, thank you. And then they called right back, and I'm like, you have the wrong numbers.
My goodness.
Yeah.
We don't have a White Castle.
I wish we did.
Are you a White Castle guy?
YES.
Who did I run into that shocked me and said there weren't a White Castle guy? Like, White Castle came up and they're like, no. White. And I'm like, whoa. Sack of sliders? You can't go wrong. We used to have one, didn't we, in Irondequoit? Was there ever a White Castle?
No, supposedly the story was downtown. Like, it right down the block from the Blue Cross Arena.
Right down the block from where the supposed NBA team used to play. This Rochester's glory days. We had a White Castle and an NBA team.
You would
Subway.
ride the subway to an NBA game in Rochester and go over and eat White Castle. Right, all in one spot there, Danger.
This mythical land that you're talking about, it doesn't exist not in my Rochester. I don't know what you're talking about, pal. Okay, so 454. No, I did it again. 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
It's you reading too many books. Stop reading books.
You know what? You're right. I need to dumb it down a little bit. I'll just do Jerky Boy impersonations from here on out.
I was going to set you up later with Mike Rizzo in Washington.
No, Frank Rizzo.
Frank
Rizzo is his brother, and he's the best. I got all my tools. I'll go over there. I'll straighten everything out. What do you need me to do? Yeah, I'll do that. That's coming up later in Shots.
Well, we were just going to mention that the Nationals, right? They're going to have their first game tonight with their new manager and their new general manager. Fired Dave Martinez, the manager, and fired was Mike Rizzo.
I'm Frank Rizzo. I'm his brother. Hire me. I'll straighten everybody out.
Washington tonight playing at St. Louis.
That's right, Sizzle Chest. They're playing the Mouth Breathers in St. Louis. Gino. All right. So where do we go?
Okay, we haven't talked about this. And I feel bad for this guy. I really do. Because this is the time of year, like if you're an NFL player, you have fun. And this guy isn't doing anything really that dangerous. But you could say, well, you put yourself on a jet ski and somebody runs into you.
I know where you're going.
Remember this story? This was back from 2022. Nyheim Hines.
9 times.
Naeem Hines.
Yeah, 2 years ago, actually. Like, remember, after the DeMar Hamlin the situation, Naeem Hines gives the Bills the run back for the touchdown. That stadium danger, I'm telling you, fantastic. And the Bills gave up earlier that offseason a third-round pick. Okay, this is the type of running back that is very complimentary, has speed, can return kickoffs, catches balls. Perfect for this Bills offense. And then right before camp opens up 2 years ago, he tears his ACL because somebody rammed into him on a jet ski. Not his fault, but kind of your fault for putting yourself in that situation. And, that wasn't team-related, and we're really sorry. You're going to lose a lot of money here, and the Bills moved on.
Mm-hmm.
We never knew the terms of the settlement, but whatever it was, taking a year off, and then last year, I didn't even realize this, that Hines was in Browns camp, didn't go very far, but now Naeem Hines is making it known to everyone that he wants another crack at this, and he'd like to be in someone's camp coming up at the end of the month.
What is Naeem Hines at this stage of his career when he couldn't get on the field with the Browns? What team is going to see him? I mean, you're bringing him in. If you're bringing him into camp, it's just for that. It's just for camp. He's just a body.
Does he have any favors to call in? Like you say with Josh Norman, that's a favor. Like in a perfect world for Naeem Hines or the Buffalo Bills, like if he had something left, bring him in, and maybe he's a practice squad guy. But do we really want to go? That's looking in the rearview mirror to me. Like you want to look ahead here, and this triumvirate that the Bills have at running back, it's the best triumvirate they've ever had in franchise history. Thurman Thomas, Kenneth Davis, and then who? Yunel Jourdain? No, I'm talking like 1 through 3 here. Because Ty Johnson was exquisite in his role last year. Ray Davis would be the workhorse back for many teams. And James Cook, danger, he's a top 5 back in this league.
Mm-hmm.
And these 3 guys all have different parts to it. There's just no space for him and anybody. And I don't disagree with the Bills. Some people, why didn't you draft a running back this year? You could draft a running back next year. You don't need to develop a running back. Just plug him in and go.
What a life, though, if you're a player like Naeem Hines or an undrafted free agent, the idea that all you really want is the opportunity to show up to camp. All you really want is the opportunity to be on the field, to show that you can play, to show that you belong, even knowing chances are you're not going to make the team. And if you make the practice squad, that's where you'll sit. You'll command a paycheck, but you're a guy. You're a guy that they're going to lean on when they need something or when something's gone horribly wrong. I think about, we talk so much in the NFL about the superstars, and we don't talk a lot about the guys at the end of their career looking to hang on for one more shot like a Naeem Hines, or the young players that are undrafted out of college that are looking to make a name for themselves. And then you factor in they didn't make the team. Oh, another team signed him. Darrington Evans has been with the Bills how many times back and forth? I mean, how many of these guys have we had over the course of the last 10 years that have been in and out of the Buffalo Bills? I mean, Eli Ankou is on the line. I mean, think about the life of that guy, and he's actually gotten into games.
Tyrell Shavers will be well, how are we going to think of him like 5 years from now? Like that's not a bad living. Don't get me wrong. Mike White is going to bounce from practice squad to practice squad. Some of these names on the Bills practice squad. KJ Hamler. Is he really going to get
Hamler is a little bit of a tragedy to me, because I think when he came out of Penn State and was drafted by the Broncos, I thought to myself that makes sense, and he's going to have injuries. Good for him that he's been able to recover to the point where he can still be on a practice squad, that he can still be at a training camp, because a lot of guys, Naeem Hines included, just haven't been really the same, or we haven't seen them since that injury perform at the level that we're expecting them to see. Because Naeem Hines in Indianapolis was great. I mean, out of the backfield, receiving out of the backfield was fantastic. A lot of speed. You get what the Bills did when they gave up a third to get him at the trade deadline that year. But yeah, I think I don't think we're going backwards with that one. I think you're right. I think Naeem Hines saying that he wants to be ready for a team is a guy that just wants to be a part of it. And probably an agent that's saying also, hey, let's see what we can get. Is there anything left? Because you've been working hard and you're in shape and you're recovered from your injury and you didn't latch on last year, but we're still there and we're still available. And running backs, yeah, they kind of come and go. You know, Kareem Hunt, showing up in Kansas City last year and having the season he had. Everybody left him for dead after Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, because when we're going through like fantasy and like how things change in baseball or any other, like they don't change in football. Holy cow! Do you know who led the league in touchdowns back-to-back years, 21 and 22?
Sony Michel. Nope. Sony Michel.
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler.
Yeah. You don't think he was getting that many touches for the Chargers.
Right.
He was getting that much volume.
Right. I got Sony Michel mixed up with Todd Gurley. I meant to say Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was the player I was actually thinking about, but I said Sony Michel. Why did I do that? They both played for the Rams. I don't know. But Todd Gurley was the player I was thinking.
See, Danger is like, he's here but in spirit, I think you're still in Italia right now.
Oh,
yeah.
Or I'm just an airhead. I'm sorry, Gene. I mean, you've worked with me a long enough time to know sometimes I can be a little bit of an airhead, a little bit of a ditz. Todd Gurley was the player I was thinking of, not Sony Michel. Obviously, Sony Michel never lived. Todd Gurley had a moment. He had a flash. He was good for a couple of seasons.
Sony Michel was the guy that Belichick drafted and just kind of was like, okay, I'm done with it. Yeah. That was it. So, can anybody verify this? I wouldn't mention this unless this came from a reputable source. Belichick was in our town 2 weeks ago?
Really? Anybody know about that? Anybody hear rumors about that?
Well, if he's here, you know who else was here, right?
I got to be careful now. Maybe he's listening. What if he came to Rochester, found his new favorite sports talk radio station?
Like,
listens to the Fan Rochester religiously in the Odyssey app.
I don't know. I don't want to get any of our advertiser in trouble. I would imagine, what would she want to do? Go to the Spa Del Monte, or what would it be?
I mean, Spa Del Monte is a given. Yeah. I mean, we have plenty of wonderful wineries throughout the region and Finger Lakes. I mean, certainly there has to be a handful of locations in our region where the two of them could slip in and slip out with nary a person knowing that they were in the region. But is that the rumor that Belichick was in town?
Yeah, he was in town. Now, we don't really...
It's not vacation time for Bill Belichick. It should be like the heat of him getting ready for the upcoming season.
Unless there's some kid he was talking to that's kicking, or like he's like...
Recruiting?
Does anybody think Bill Belichick's going to stay beyond this year?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Even if he doesn't... Even if it goes poorly. Let's say he's one game above 500. Okay. Yeah, I think he sticks around. He's not coming back to the NFL. That much we know.
If you were somebody like, say, again, for example, a Wickersham, and like you're trying to dig to what's really going on here with this, ideally, when would you want to drop that story? I don't know over the 4th of July week while people are on vacation and might be not getting in the maximum amount of clicks. I would think you wouldn't want to wait until closer to football season.
Here's when you do it. I don't know that this is going to happen, but bad loss or multiple losses. You drop it at the low point.
Like a Ty Dunn. Like,
exactly right.
Hey, you had 12 men on the field that gave the Denver Broncos. Hey, by the way, this is what your coach said. Bam.
Ty Dunn's not stupid. Yeah. He's not dumb. He did what he did for a reason. It was very strategic. It was very well thought out, and it worked. And I think if you're Wickersham, or if you're anybody that has anything on Belichick and you have a story ready to drop, you wait. You wait until people are talking about it. I can't believe they lost the way they lost. I mean, it was one-sided. They got blown out by a rival. Whatever it is, that's when you drop it. And then it just adds more fuel to the fire of people already saying, what's this guy doing? Oh, now it makes sense. Look at the Wickersham report.
I would think that Bill Belichick, for as many friends in the business that he's made, he has more enemies than friends.
Well, if you stick around long enough, everybody at some point is going to have a negative image of you. They're going to have a negative experience with you. If you stick around long enough, I mean, even people that love us, that have listened to us from day one, been on the air for, when's our anniversary coming up? August
29th.
It's a big anniversary, too, Gene.
Yeah,
9 times.
Correct.
Even the people that have been with us from day one have had a negative experience, especially them, have had at least one negative experience. We said something that offended them or pissed them off. Or
Trust me, yes. I've had people pull me aside. Can't believe what Danger said.
Oh, is that what it was? I've had people pull me aside. Don't ever go on vacation again. Or Gene big timed me. Is that?
I did. Big time, Brian. I didn't big time. Don't mean to big time people.
So I guess that would be a long way of saying, yeah, Belichick probably has more enemies than friends at this point because he's been around a long time. And you have multiple negative impressions of him if you've been around him for that length of time. Sure. All right. So if anybody knows if there was an actual spotting of Belichick and Jordan in our town, or maybe you're sworn to secrecy, maybe you had to sign an NDA, let us know. 866-4326 is our phone number. Keep that handy, too, because we have last call coming up before 6 o'clock, and you can have the final word in the sports bar.
So I mentioned, my trip to Kansas City. Part of it is I'm going to go to, I don't even know what they call it. They still call Kauffman Stadium. Where do the Royals play? Mets. Friday night, Saturday. And I said, should I wear something just as a tip to the sports bar, like an Amerk hat or something like that? Chris writing in, here's what Gene should wear, and it's just a Grimace outfit. Thank you, Chris.
You want to really ratchet it up. Grimace outfit with a Muncie jersey on top of it. That will be the way that everybody will know, oh, that's Gene from the sports bar. He's wearing a Grimace outfit with a Muncie jersey on top of it.
Do you think they would let you into a stadium in costume like that? I'm guessing this day and age, no. And furthermore, it's Kansas City heat. It's going to be like, 80 degrees at night? I wouldn't want to be wearing a Grimace outfit.
And you probably don't want to wear a Muncie jersey either. That's Kansas City, after all.
Right.
That's a division rival. I wore my Amerks hat to Citi Field, to the Mets game that I went to. I didn't
see you, though.
I didn't invest in any Mets gear. I'm a Cubs guy, but I did represent Rochester at the Mets game. Gave it away because I started talking, and the people around was like, "You're not from New York." I'm like,
oh, yeah? How'd you know I wasn't from New York? Is it the Amerks hat that I'm wearing or the fact that I'm going to go get some custard? I want some hots. Do I red hot or white hot? What do I get? I want some hots.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to go up to Buffalo, and I'm going to go get some hot wings and blue cheese. And then after that, I'm going to take my kids to the Bills game.
I think the den after dat. Den after dat.
All right, we got to get to a round of shots next on the Fan.
Yeah, these are trying times if you're a Yankee fan. Yankees coming off that series loss to the Mets. They take on an interesting Seattle team tonight. We'll tell you who is actually going to be two more commitments to the Home Run Derby coming up next week, and what team should we be looking out for next year in the NBA, team that's kind of making some moves today. And we didn't even get to this. A little drama for a New England Patriot here.
Okay.
Guy we're very familiar with.
Last call is on the way before 6. Again, 866-4326 if you want to join us and have the final word in the sports bar. Stand by. We've got a round of shots next on the Fan.
Red Wings open a series tonight at home against Worcester. All the games in the majors on the lights tonight. The Yankees taking on Seattle. Aaron Boone giving his state of the pinstripe.
I'm totally confident we'll get to where we need to be by the end. We just got to obviously start playing better and more consistently in all phases. We're going through it right now, is important in developing character of your team. You got to go through these things and you got to meet the moment sometimes.
Boom moving Jazz Chisholm back to second base. The Mets begin a series tonight in Baltimore. The New York Knicks today formally introducing Mike Brown as their new head coach. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today you can get 2 rounds for the price of 1 to Wildwood Country Club. Don't wait, this won't last long. Log on to GetMyPerks.com today. Gina Taglian, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Bone-crunching hits, backboard-shattering dunks, bat flips, and hat tricks. 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
I got to tell you, Gino, I'm looking forward to tonight. It is a bad night to be a cold beer. Before we get to that, a round of shots in the sports bar.
Yeah, let me start off with a topic here. Our buddy Frank, remember Frank from Hockey Season, good friend of the sports bar,
yeah,
wrote to me, Gino, it's time to start taking a deep dive into what's going on at Oak Hill. I read today where Medina Country Club is the favorite to land the 2033 PGA Championship. The only one that's still unassigned through 2034. I thought we got rave reviews in 2023. What gives? Okay, lot there, Frank. And Frank, I'm glad you're bringing this up because we want to keep this in the forefront. We had Brian Koziel on with us about a month ago where he had the head of the PGA saying nice things about Rochester, and there was going to be a visit to Oak Hill in the month of June. And then if you project that out, that maybe we would get kind of the nod after that point. Still hasn't happened. I started looking here for this Medina Country Club here. Now let's just stop right there. Like, who wouldn't want a major? Like, everyone would want a major. So we just can't assume that there aren't other sharks out there. Frank, I don't know what report you saw. I saw one thing from an aggregator site that, speculated that they could get the nod based on other stuff. I still think we're in play here. But what he's bringing up here, and this is the weird part, there is this lawsuit with Oak Hill and their members, and we could take a deep dive into it. A lot of stuff that, frankly, allegations, I don't know. Does the PGA of America say, you know what, with this lawsuit going on, and maybe there is something to it, maybe you skip this one here?
I don't know. Can you figure it out over the course of the next, 8 years? I mean, is anybody going to remember it 8 years from now when you're hosting the event?
Not.
Come on. What are we waiting for? Let's get it going. Give us something to look forward to at Oak Hill in 2033. What does the world look like in 2033?
Are we still on the air in 2033? Or are we WGR Rochester?
No, welcome to the sports bar with your AI hosts, Danger and Battaglia. They did it with Al Michaels. They can do it with Danger and Battaglia.
Here is the back cover of the New York Post today.
Oh, I saw this. The best.
This written over a Yankee logo. Help wanted. Yeah. Actively seeking candidates for multiple starting pitchers, multiple relief pitchers, capable third baseman, right-hitting outfielder. Contact GM Brian Cashman for more information. Will Warren taking the mound tonight. 7:05, the first pitch against Seattle.
Chisholm going to second base feels like progress.
You can go buy yourself. And by buy, I mean, go pay the freight. Go get a Eugenio Suarez. Go get a Nolan Arenado. They're right there. Go get a third baseman from a team that's falling out of contention.
Post is great. Love that headline. That was fantastic.
Twins outfielder Byron Buxton became the 4th player to commit to the home run derby, and then we just learned now O'Neal Cruz also going in, so we're up to 5. For Buxton, just assuming that he doesn't get hurt between now and then.
I'm sorry, Gino, I'm a little bit late on that. Go ahead, give it again.
Assuming that Buxton doesn't get hurt between now and then. Now, the Twins outfielder says one of the reasons he said yes to doing it is that his 11-year-old son plays home run derby on the video game MLB The Show. His son asking him, Dad, when are you going to do this? So his son is going to be the one to bring him a towel and a Gatorade during the event.
I have an O'Neal Cruz story from my vacation in Europe.
Does this have to do with him watching a ground ball roll to center field?
Nope.
Okay.
Where this is the night before we're flying back. We're staying the night at the Hilton at the Rome Airport. And we're having dinner. We're sitting down at the dinner there at the hotel. And I look across to the bar, and I see a familiar face. I'm like, oh, my God, I think I know that guy. And, of course, Sandy and the girls are looking at me like, what do you mean you know that guy? We're in Rome. You don't know anybody. I'm like, no, I'm fairly certain I know that guy. He's a radio guy. I interviewed with him way back in the day. He's a good guy. I love that guy. I know that's him. I haven't seen him in years. I haven't talked to him in years, but I'm fairly certain that's him. And how I knew for sure it was him, his son was with him wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates O'Neill Cruz jersey. He's currently in Pittsburgh. He's a radio guy who used to work in Indianapolis, who's currently in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, I was right. It was him. He was coming back from a Mediterranean cruise with his wife and his son, and they were staying at Rome before they had to fly out the next morning, just like we were doing.
Mike Danger, man of international mystery.
But it was the O'Neill Cruz jersey that was the clincher for me. I wouldn't have gone up to him if it wasn't for the O'Neill Cruz jersey. I'm like, I know it's him because that's a Pittsburgh Pirates jersey, and he's in Pittsburgh.
Did the girls, were they impressed?
No, they were mortified, terrified. They're actually like, do we really have to go meet him? I'm like, yes, he's with his family. I'm going to go up with my family, and we're going to talk about family things like our vacations. That's what we do. They didn't really want to engage. I don't think they were impressed. But you know what? Maybe they should have been impressed.
Well, okay, so then, but was your wife like, oh, you're the guy who tried to get me to move from Rochester to Indianapolis?
I was ready, man. Yeah. He offered me the gig. I was ready to go. Didn't do it, but he's a good guy. And, just another reminder of how small the world can be. I'm like, and how sports binds us. I'm like, the O'Neill Cruz jersey cinched it. I wasn't going to say anything because I wasn't 100% sure. I was like, I was like 80% sure that that's my guy. And then when I saw the O'Neill, that's definitely him. He's in Pittsburgh.
Now, you were gone when this happened. Did you see the O'Neill center field play?
No. How bad?
I've never seen anything like it. It's a low line drive that just kind of bounces, and he doesn't get it, and he stops, and he just stares and watches it roll to the wall. Like, no, the play continues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just devastated.
It's one of,
It's the kind of thing you would expect a 5-year-old to do their first time playing the game because they don't know. They're just devastated that it got by them.
Well, O'Neill Cruz also in the home run derby, so we still have 3 slots to hand out.
Okay.
We're going to have labor peace in the NHL till the year 2030. 2 sides ratifying the deal today. We go from 82 to 84 regular season games, lopping off 2 in the preseason. That's fine. Some of the other changes, shortened max term contracts, capped at 7 years for a player re-signing with his club. If they want to change teams, it's only going to be 6 years. That's the max. Permanent injury backup goaltenders, e-bugs, now will be a full-time job for every team.
You listen to Bobby Craig over there at the Red Wings front office. But great goalie. Men's league superstar, could be an e-bug. Go get him.
It's crazy that the salary cap to this point didn't exist for postseason games. Now it will. Deferred payments, no, that's not going to happen. Increasing NHL salaries, sure. Minimum wage will go up. And the extension of Olympic participation through 2030. Oh, and no more dress codes, too. But
what were the dress codes?
I think you had to wear shirt and tie.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, so now
now does this mean coaches will do that? Like the NHL is like the last one where you look on the sideline.
Man, I hope not. I don't want to see a coach wearing sweatpants behind officially licensed apparel behind the. Wear a suit, wear a tie. I do miss that about the NFL, man. There was something about.
Who was that about college basketball? That's why, like when Bettino would do it at the Garden, I'm like, that's basketball.
Yeah, I hope that. I was thinking for the players. Now what? They're going to start showing up like the NFL and NBA players just wearing wild outfits, whatever they want to wear to get attention. Mac Hollins. The Mac Hollins route starts showing up like cartoon characters. Weirdo.
It's funny. I had totally forgotten about that.
Weirdo.
All Are we buying in on the Orlando Magic this coming year? Today, the team gave Paolo Banchero a 5-year, $239 million max extension, and now they have their core of Banchero, Wagner, Suggs under contract for the next 5 years. Remember, they picked up Desmond Bane. He's under contract through 28-29 too.
I'm not betting this, but if I were betting Eastern Conference champion right now, I have a feeling that the Orlando Magic would present the best value. I'm not saying that they're going to, but I would say the best value to win the East in 2026 based on what you just said. That's intriguing to me. And Banchero is great. Wagner coming back. Suggs, Jalen Suggs, and the addition of Bane. Yeah, that's formidable. And the East is wide open. So I think...
No, you don't have good value here.
No, where are they at?
Plus 475.
Who's the favorite?
Cleveland still.
At?
275.
Okay.
Knicks at plus 300. So the Magic, right now, third best odds. Atlanta plus 1,000. No. Philadelphia plus 1,150. Sorry. Boston plus 1,500. Not this year. What about Detroit at plus 1,600? PJ Glasser joins us tomorrow. It's July, folks. We're going to talk futures.
I like
it.
Let's do it.
Stephon Diggs and Cardi B appear to be no more.
Oh, come on. Gene, this is supposed to be an uplifting segment. People need to be in a good mood as they head into their evening. And if you're telling me that Steph Diggs and Cardi B can't make it work, what hope is there for the rest of us?
The rapper scrubbing her Instagram page completely free of Diggs now, suggesting strongly that the two have split. I don't know. Perhaps it had something to do with the video of Diggs on a boat with bikini-clad women handing out some sort of pink substance there.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but something did cross my feed about this breakup, and it was Diggs' comments about Cardi B's odor due to the Brazilian butt lift. I don't know if that's somebody made something up and just put. You can never say. So I'm not going to cite any sources. I'm just saying this crossed my feed. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's not real. But if Diggs actually did say something about Cardi B's odor due to her Brazilian butt lift, yeah, I have a feeling she's going to scrub him from the IG page, and we're never going to hear about the two of them ever again. I'm still devastated though that they couldn't make it work. It's shocking to me that they couldn't make it work. Are you looking it up? Are you fact-checking me?
Yeah, I can't find anything here.
All right. Well, I didn't make it up. It did cross my feed. But, again, don't try to get inside my head. Don't try and get inside my feed. It's a scary place to be, and I don't know how things end up where they end up. But the odor from the Brazilian butt lift, according to this thing that I read in my feed, was too much for Diggs to handle. It was really, really bothering. Maybe it was like an onion site. Who knows, Gino?
Who knows?
I didn't even know that a Brazilian. First of all, the Brazilian butt lift. I'm not sure what that is and what goes into that procedure. Furthermore, I didn't know that there was an odor associated with the Brazilian butt lift. Call me blissfully ignorant on the procedure. It's nothing I've really looked into. You're making a face like you found something.
The wild rumor started on Facebook. Some random gossip page claimed that Diggs told someone the stench of Cardi B was unbearable and he wasn't able to tolerate it anymore.
See?
I want to believe this.
See? I didn't make it up. You would think that I would that sounds like the kind of thing somebody just makes up. And maybe somebody did just make it up, but they published it on their rag, and then it ended up in my feed somehow, and I read it like a fool.
Okay, so on our show, we're only going with real news, but I'm going to allow this exception, Danger. If you want that to believe,
I will believe. I want to believe that Diggs is a man that would say the stench from the Brazilian butt lift was too much for me to bear. I'm a professional athlete. I get clocked every Sunday, but the smell of Cardi B was too much for me to handle.
I've been in NFL locker rooms.
Yes.
Some of the most heinous.
Right. I'm with 400-pound guys on Sundays who you don't want to know what they put in or what comes out of their bodies. But the stench of Cardi B, too much for me to handle. Gotta move on. Time to ramble. Sorry, sweetheart. Probably not a real report, I'm guessing.
Again, I'm going to make the exception.
You want to believe it?
Want to believe it?
I want to believe it too. It's more fun that way. Last call is next. You could have the final word in the sports bar at 866-4FAN. 585-866-4326.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
It is last call. You can have the final word when you join us at 866-4326. Our number 585-866-4FAN.
So, Danger, have you ever... I'm sure everybody's done this, right? Like you hear a song, you may like the song, but you completely get the lyrics wrong.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, like Rocket Man or whatever it may be.
There was a song in the late 90s that I'll always remember because it was right around the time that I was moving to Rochester by a group, a one-hit wonder called Everything But the Girl. And the song was called Missing. And the hook of the song was, and I miss you like the deserts miss the rain. When I moved here, our promotions director, Cuz Tristano, my guy, he in my head, he said this once, and now it's all I ever hear when I hear the song. Tiramisu. Instead of and I miss you, it was tiramisu. I'm like, not even close, but I can't unhear it, and that's all I hear now.
Bringing this up because this is, gosh, I forget how many years ago, but it's your favorite artist and my daughter, young girl at the time.
Starbucks Lovers.
Yeah, 98PXY. Nope.
Oh.
She's singing this. I'm like, what are you saying? Switzu. Isn't that the name of the song? I'm like, it's 22, not Switzu.
Oh,
so
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, she thought for some reason, like she was just making up a phrase called Switzu. I'm bringing this up because Allie today turns Switzu.
Oh, man. That's big, dude.
And I'm just embarrassing her by just mentioning that.
I thought for sure, since you were going to bring up Taylor Swift, that you're going to bring up Starbucks Lovers from, I don't know.
We love Taylor Swift. She's the best.
Yeah, say it louder so she'll hear us. The lyric is got a long list. Blank Space is the song I'm thinking of. Got a long list of ex-lovers is the lyric, but it sounds like she's saying Starbucks Lovers. And that's another one. That's a classic one.
Maybe she did that secretly.
You got a 22-year-old in your house. I got a girl who's going to be 21 next month. We're plotting and scheming her 21st birthday.
No, we have young adults.
We're old!
No, you know what this means, Danger? Apartment, job, move.
You're ready to be an empty nester, huh? No, the reality is graduate from college, move home, get bank so you can afford to live your adult life.
That's where we're at right now.
Yep, and that's where you'll probably be for a little bit while she can accumulate the funds necessary to become an adult in America in 2025. My goodness. Well, happy birthday, Allie, and 22. Switzu. Happy Switzu to Allie. Tomorrow.
Jim Riley, baseball talk. Oh, and PJ Glasser. It's been how many weeks since we've had PJ? Like, it's been a month.
Haven't talked to PJ in a while. He's been making the rounds. I saw PJ posting that he has completed his quest of visiting all Major League ballparks. 32 of them.
He ranked them, too.
Oh, a ranking.
Of course. Everything is a power ranking.
All right, so we'll have PJ give us his power ranking for baseball parks, and, of course, we'll get some winners as well. I still think that there's value in the Magic. I know they're the third best odds now, but I kind of like that. I kind of think the Magic in the East.
Doesn't it have to be a progression, though? Like, you're just going to, like, go from not winning a playoff series to poof, here we are in the final.
No, man, some pretty good players. Pretty good players on that team. We'll see. We'll get PJ's take on it. We'll also talk some Major League Baseball with Jim Riley, Ballcap Sports from YouTube. Ballcap Sports on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6 on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. Tell a friend. Put some wind in the sails of your favorite Rochester sports talk show. And you can go back and watch any part of the show that you may have missed. Or listen on the free-to-download Odyssey app with Rewind. You can do likewise. Tomorrow we are back with a brand new episode starting at 3 o'clock. JR Sport Brief is next on The Fan Rochester. Have a great night.
You're listening to The Sports Bar.